Hello, chat. Sorry, I took a little bit longer to set up today. Shrimp quartet. There you go, this is fine. Hello, hello, hello. Say hi. Oh, I will switch it again. We have a special guest today, chat. We have a special guest today. You'll see. Oi, stop flirting with each other. I'm live now. Okay, so be careful. They can hear you, but they can hear me. Oh my god, I should have unmuted you guys. God fucking damn it. I should have unmuted this. Holy shit.
Mute audio.
Oh my god. God.
How do I see my chat?
Oh, there we go. They're saying hi, Kura.
Chat?
No, don't use this to see your chat. This is just on the background. And then you go to just use your normal chat. I'm teaching Boomer Kura how to set up his stream, okay? Because he hasn't done this in ages.
Which the fuck you call me?
A boomer. A boomer? Kura boomer?
I'm gonna need to see you after class.
Oh, okay, Mr. Teacher. Were my grades bad?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
We're gonna
What do I have to do to pass?
Well, so there's
Look at me like
this
that.
very physical metric I can give you.
Very physical metric, okay.
Yeah.
I saw that very physical metric, it wasn't that impressive.
Yeah? You haven't seen it. You haven't seen what I'm... Yeah, you haven't seen
Okay, I'm
the
taking out,
experimental thing.
I'm putting my heart rate on because you are a degenerate and we don't do degenerate things here.
Why are you calling me a degenerate?
We are a Christian channel, I told you. I have crosses on my now. Hello, chat. Oh, my gain is too high. Holy shit, I'm like peaking like crazy. There you go, it's fine. No, is there some food here? Marcel, hi. You can eat this one. If you want to. It's fine, very small, high in protein.
High in protein. Yikes. Bro,
You know what I like to
this
say? Whenever I see like a small kitten, I'm like, do you think he knows he's like 2 grams of protein? Hi Pookie. Hi Goods. Hi Red. Hello. Keep saying hi. Sorry, I was like distracted with these two because that one wants like something and this one was like being weird. So like I'm here in the middle, like, you know. Yeah, you being
we're
weird.
about 2 inches away from me getting head.
2 inches away. That's kind of.
Yeah. Oh, they're nodding. Oh, okay.
You're not sucking his dick off, okay? We're not doing this.
Not
It's
yet.
not we can't do this here, okay?
Later. I'm kidding, by the way. I'm not that easy.
Okay, let me just tell you something, chat, right? I tried doing this. Half the times, okay? Right, oh, perfect. Whenever I stream and someone joins me, they became a degenerate. And then everyone falls on me, saying I'm too weird. For some reason.
I was always a degen, okay? No, I was always one. I just was like, oh no, I'm not gonna be that kind of streamer. And then I'm like, I'm just gonna do what I wanna do. I'm just gonna be me. I stopped giving a fuck, okay?
I'm teaching you how to do doggy tricks, okay? Ready? Ready?
Oh shit, wait, do I have Spout installed? Uh-oh.
Good job.
I don't actually know.
How do you treat? I mean, you're weird. I'm not weird, okay? You can try it back, man. Just make sure your microphone doesn't go like meh. But yeah, chat. I think I pulled my back. So I've been going to the gym and stuff. And today it's a little bit better now, actually. I'm standing a bit more. But I may need to sit a lot. I'm trying not to die. I think I did one of the exercises like in the bed. Weird old people. It's not old people noises. Exercise noises, okay? It wasn't like, oh, I got up. Fuck you. You're like not that far anyway.
Sorry, what?
Swear to God.
I need to
Yeah, I'm gonna be 30
Spotify
this
as
year,
well.
so like I'm basically dead. I'm enjoying my last streaming.
You're turning
days.
30?
Yeah, I'm enjoying my.
You're older
Hi,
than me?
Philip. What? Yeah, I've always been older than you. What do you mean?
What? Really?
No, like last year I was younger than you, but this one I changed it. I was kind of tired of that.
Oh, okay,
You're
yeah.
old.
You just stated.
Also, bark. There you go. You're welcome.
Why did you get closer to the camera for that? And why did you go like sensual? Back.
Stop telling everyone my tricks. It's ruining the moment. Because now they're gonna be like, oh, I did this on purpose.
Back.
Okay, so.
Bro.
Okay, so.
That's crazy.
I need to be right back.
Lizard.
I spilled coffee all over my. Okay, so I was gonna punch you as a joke. I punched my coffee table off the table. So I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Can you do me a favor? Can you hold them? Cause I'm gonna take a while. The floor is all fucked.
Yeah, I'm gonna
The
go
floor
over
is
here
fucked.
so I can actually like.
There we go. I'll leave the camera here. You guys have fun. Okay. Oh, it's on me. Hold on. I'm gonna need to actually get like a. I'm gonna need to get a. Oh, this is gonna take me a while. Fuck me, man. Okay.
Oh,
Chat, be
okay.
gentle,
Why do you
okay?
have coffee table on another table?
Oh, okay.
Why do I have coffee table? I punched my coffee mug on the fucking coffee mug. Fuck me, man.
Oh, okay.
It's all your fault. You know that, right?
he just keeps giving me the fucking. Bro, he keeps walking into it.
All right, I'm gonna. Do you want to share chats? If we're gonna be together, I'm gonna. You know what?
How do I do this? I'm still.
There you go.
Yeah, we're gonna do that, but
There you go. Chat. Bully the fuck out of Courage, chat.
F5. Did I refresh it? I don't see anything fancy happening. Oh, shared viewers. Ah! Wait, did that work? I think that worked. Hello, Corin. Is it working? Snowy's dead, but he's like, we should touch tips. And so we're touching tips. Shared chat moderation. You can take mod action against viewers and other channels. Can we take mod actions against each other? What? I can't hear Scully. What did he say? Scully. Advanced audio properties. I'm having so many problems. Monitoring device default. Oh shit. No, hold on. No. I'm not ready. No light vote. Thank you for the resub, Riven. Hold on, it's not working. Wait, it is default. Scully. Wow, he's being kind of rude today. I'm so sorry. Audio output device. Oh, that's why. Okay, I should be able to hear Scully now. You guys could probably hear him, but I couldn't hear him. Crow's chat. I punched my coffee. Oh, you're telling him. Yeah, he punched his coffee cup, so he's dead now. Wait, shared hype. Oh, that's weird. Wait, does it combine or like... Wait, is it like easy mode hype train? Or does it double the requirements? Oh, but you can individually set the hype train requirements. You're fine, Corel. You broke your index controller. I had to do that whenever I was trying to fix my index controller not taking charge, but I ended up just having to buy a new one before they went out of stock because they're out of production. So buy them while you can. This is gonna get really confusing. Yeah, this is gonna be really confusing. Also, my chat, don't mind the mute. They're just eye candy. Yeah, I don't know. Snowy hired them to look at you. Is Snowy paying you? Wait, then why are you here? Oh, okay. What were with the eyes, dragon?
Fuck, man.
Is it bad?
My whole floor is wet. And
What were you doing before streams tonight?
I jerked off violently to your pictures.
Whoa.
Oh god. I'm very direct, I told you. You don't need to like ask me anything like that, you can't. Lizzie, hi, hello. I'm very direct, I told you. running over.
Wait, did you
So-
actually jerk off before stream?
No, what the fuck? Who do you think I am? You?
Oh.
So, okay, context if you
I
just
didn't jerk off
joined.
either.
Did you jerk off?
In fact, I can't remember the last time I jerked off. Okay?
That was delayed. That's a yes.
I'm not
That's
a
the
gooner.
right.
What's a yes? What?
Okay, so. Oh, that's why I was looking at. Well, the other camera. Okay, so what happened was, okay, I wanted to punch this person because no reason, and I put my hand
Because
here.
no reason.
And I was gonna do like an uppercut, like
Because no
not an
reason.
uppercut, but like on the stomach, right? And it was right on over my desk where my coffee cup was. So I just punched my coffee cup like into the wall, into the heater, and like it fell everywhere. I'm so happy I'm using my Quest because it fell on the Quest, like everything, fucking everything, bro. God damn it! And now my floor is all wet, and I'm on my yoga ball because I am very scared of like moving around.
I'm trying to
But
fix
oh
the
well,
camera.
here we are. Here we are, chat. God damn it. There's so much beautiful beans though. Hunk and Lizzie, I fuck you guys just come here when I'm doing bullshit. Whenever I'm doing a stream that's normal, no, you guys don't see me. I do a stream when I punch my fucking coffee cup across the room, and suddenly everyone is here. Okay, we came to judge, haha. I can see your DMs like, oh look at this fucking idiot just freaking punches share. Well, sorry. It's okay, I like you guys. It's all the whole gang, oh my god, look at you. What the fuck? Nah, Carl. You're in a judgment, Carl. Why don't you guys join me in VR then, huh? We can all be here and be pretty together. Come on. Don't electrocute yourself. I think it's fine. It fell on the heater, but maybe I should unplug it. Will I unplug the heater? Probably a good idea.
Do not run electron. Are what? Do you live alone?
Nah.
Okay,
Thank you.
good, because that way you're gonna burn your house down.
Ah, it's fine. I'm shit at being pretty. Waranto, you're fucking. What do you mean? Have you seen your pictures? You're hot as fuck.
Vincent's asking if you broke your coffee mug.
The coffee mug, surprisingly, it's fine. I don't know. I need to buy more of those.
Dude, the audio from camera is very disorienting.
Oh,
you
I
get
just
used
did-
to it eventually?
I just did audio from camera when I go AFK. I don't use that shit.
Oh.
It's disgusting. No, because someone speaks and I just turn the other way, and I'm like, yeah, no, don't do that. They'll get used to the normal audio. Chat gets.
I think
used to
I'll
it.
get. Is it better? I think it's better.
It's better on a streamer perspective, but it will fuck with your head.
That's okay. I'll deal with it.
Maybe for a bit. Yeah, if you join, man, feel free. He lives with a pet dog. I don't have. That's good. His pet dog that likes to harass me. I burned. It's fine. How dare you? Yeah, if I suddenly explode, and like if I go pff, and I crash, you know what happened.
You exploded.
Yeah,
Literally.
Chat, we're doing an impromptu collab with Kura. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him.
Yeah, Snowy
Look
was
at
being
him.
horny in my DMs, and I'm like, yeah, I can
was
hop
like,
on VR
whoa,
real
can
quick.
you get some more?
And then I joined, and then he you actually where can we get some more? I was gaslighting. You're right. That is what happened.
The best part is like
And then,
I started like saying talking bullshit to people, and then they're like, "Come on, 1v1 me in VR," and then I'm like, "Whoa, calm down, no, that's... whoa." I was joking, okay?
Well, I was gonna get on anyways to test my VR stuff because no, you don't know actually. I've been having
trying.
this really bad issue.
Oh,
Ever since the latest Windows update, where like my performance will get progressively worse and worse and worse, and then it gets so stuttery I can't even play games, and I get like severe input delay where I'll like press A or D and it takes a full second to go.
I've seen this before. So have you tried, like, not being bad at having PCs? Usually it works. If you just like don't have that issue, then it's fine. You look like you want to kill me. It's a memory leak. You put the giant dong on your
You're lucky
avatar and
we're
it's leaking
live.
everywhere.
You're lucky we're live.
Lyrens! Gotta pet you from time to time so you don't feel lonely on the corner. There you go. I'll commit arson is okay. Stop wanting to burn me. The fuck? Hit me back to remember, then it's a good coffee mug. It's pretty good.
Where's my camera?
Is the coffee mug broken? I don't think
Yes.
so.
I need.
No, there was nothing over any hardware. It spilled over the Quest Pro like charging base though. Little bit worrying about it, but I think it's fine.
Wait, it's even.
You
Wait, the shared chat works with my chat overlay too.
Yeah.
Like, it just works.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Pretty cool.
Okay.
See this, Mr. Boomer? We can actually do like things like this now. It's very.
I'm gonna shove my
modern.
tongue so far down your throat as soon as we end stream. Oh, okay. No!
come
no,
on.
you're supposed to. No!
I would have been such a good clip, man. I'm farming here, okay?
Indefatigable.
God damn it, Max. Kuro is like a boomer with shared chat. I don't know if you saw it. We also have a shared hype train. Everything is shared.
Yeah, I saw. I saw. I can read my chat. And you're like, shared hype train.
Yeah, and like I get 50% of your earnings too because I invited you. I'm joking. That's I don't.
Bro,
that'll be kind of amazing.
I'm gonna be real direct with you. 50% of 0 is still 0.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Oh, the heavy mode. Okay, chat. We need to talk about it. They want me to buy like the fucking. How much is it? Like 22 pounds mug. I don't want to buy the 20 pounds mug. Can you imagine like, oh, height weight.
A mug that's 20 pounds?
Yeah, it's a coffee mug. This is weighs 20 pounds. It's like a solid fucking block of coffee mug.
Why?
I'd rather have a tungsten cube. I'm not gonna lie. I want a tungsten. Can you guys give me... If I add a tungsten cube to my throne... Hypothetical scenario.
My camera
Hypothetical
exactly
scenario.
where yours is because you're talking.
No, then you copy
Oh my
me.
god. I cry about it.
Wow. Look at my face. I'm so sad. I'm happy now.
There.
Yeah, chat, I don't really have a plan today. I was gonna vibe because I pulled my back muscle and yeah, it's...
Oh
yes.
wow, you really are 30.
I was at the gym doing heavy lifting, okay? Stop. I can see your face tracking being all like...
You keep getting so close to me.
I haven't seen you in a while. I gotta like make up for it all the time. Gotta be really close so I can see all the
Dude,
details.
you need to be careful, man. People are gonna get ideas.
Ideas? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi Kane, how you been, man?
Oh, for a second I thought it was like Kane's here. Kane never shows up. What the
No,
fuck?
not that Kane.
And then I
Kane.
realized it's a different Kane.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
not that.
another
Kane.
different
That
more-
one's bad.
It's another more different Kane. What?
Another Kane. Vor time, not yet good. Let it simmer a bit, okay? I just fucked my whole floor. I gotta like I gotta relax a little bit.
I wonder if. Oh, by the way, so I unironically added the Vor tag to my stream because I have another streamer friend. What?
Okay, go on. Sorry.
Okay, schizophrenia. Anyways, it's terrible disease. I added the Vortag unironically to my stream because I have another streamer friend who, yeah, I have another streamer friend who like added it as a joke, and then he's like, and then it became my second most searched tag, and I'm like,
I'm pretty sure. Don't we have Vor on mine? I'm pretty sure we have Vor on mine. I've had
people
I've
like
had
my
Vor on my
Moz
stream.
stuff, right? I love Moz, and like there's some adjacent overlap. If you're a Vor enjoyer, degenerate, whatever. I'm not into Vor,
Hi, Simon.
but I like Moz, so like I'm really not.
That's why you have a full digestion system right here. Yeah, right.
I don't have a full
Yeah,
digestive
look, it goes
system.
up. It goes up. Then it
It's
goes
straight
like
up
over here.
gaslighting.
No,
I
I'm
can
not.
switch to an
Look.
avatar that does have a
Look
full
at this.
digestive system if you want.
Oh, so you do have one, see?
My ass cheeks keeps
You
alerting the
know
guards.
the... Have you seen it? I think.
Probably. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we have the Vor tag.
What's it called? I forgot what it was called.
Chat,
What is
did
it
you
called?
treat them well? Were they good to you? Did they talk about Vor or something? Did they ask you for fit pics? No? Okay, nice.
They did ask them to take their clothes off. That did happen.
Okay, yeah, okay, whatever. Of course.
And it was your chat, not mine.
They're
so,
well trained. They reflect me, you know.
Yeah.
They reflect me. The chat reflects the streamer. It's like 4 feet and naked, apparently. Poppy Quen. My beans aren't that good. I kind of want to change them on this avatar, not gonna lie. And by the way, they're not moldy. Go fuck yourself. I'm just like I'm predicting. I'm predicting. There you go. Fuck you. No, no. Swear to
Yeah,
God.
how are mine? I can't. Where's the fucking camera?
It's right here.
This
right
is so
here.
confusing.
Right here.
Hold
Grandpa.
on.
Grandpa, it's right here. The camera
struggling.
is here. The stream is
I'm
here.
looking at my fucking. Why is my foot like that?
This is how the
There.
streams work, Kura. The camera is right.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you.
Broke.
Oh yeah. How do you like this view? By the way, this was the view I did a few pictures. I added this face tracking back and like I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's a little bit thicker. That's the whole point. It's called a thick view, but the clothes are nice. I really like the eyes. Except I'm gonna. God damn it! Fuck you and your beans. You know what? I give up. I'm gonna sit back again. Whatever. Whatever.
I have one word.
Whatever.
Smash.
Oh, too bad. Not
Too
smashable.
bad.
Not smashable.
What? What?
Sorry.
I thought
I can make it public and you can get someone to be on this avatar.
What?
I'll share the avatar with you and then he can smash you and then we'll all be happy.
No. What? What do you mean non-smashable?
Do you think anyone has already
thought you-
RP'd on your avatar? Like your thing?
So a while ago,
Okay,
someone did
okay,
rip
no,
on my
that's-
avatars. And I'm pretty sure they had, yeah. And then
do you
like,
feel about it?
I made another avatar public for some other stuff I was doing, and I forgot to make it not public. And then a friend of mine was like, "You know, this is like public, right?" And switched into it. I'm like, "How the fuck do you have that?" He's like, "Oh, I just found it." And I'm like, "What do you mean you just found it?" He's like, "In the
You
avatar
can search for
world."
it,
I'm
yeah.
like, huh? Yeah, and that one had a PP, and I'm like, "Uh-oh."
Whoa!
Fixed it. Don't worry.
Uh-oh!
It's gone.
Stinky!
You can't.
Uh-oh!
Oh.
That's gonna be my reaction if I ever pull it out accidentally. Uh-oh! Uh-oh!
I fixed it instantly.
Oh no!
Uh-oh. Oh.
Meow,
meow,
meow, meow, meow, meow, meow. The eyes are so cool. I was skeptical about this view for a bit, but I don't know. It can get thicker, by the way. It can get thicker. I don't want to be...
It doesn't need to be any thicker. I think.
Yeah,
you're
I don't want to
already
be like...
kinda- you're
I
there.
don't want to get into inflation. We have 4 feet, and like, I can't handle more, man. I can't handle another community like this.
Wait, did my bot delete your bot?
Oh yeah, the bots are gonna fight. I forgot to tell you. Yeah, the bots fight.
I'm okay with this.
let them.
I'm
That's fine.
superior so far.
I like the jacket. I do. There's okay. Let me show you off. There's like way more stuff. I just need to be careful. I'm joking. It doesn't have like stuff.
You know,
Like-
I'm seeing some of like my viewers that I'm used to seeing as regulars, but they're
On my
talking
chat?
from your chat.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fucking
and it makes
okay.
me like sad.
When that happens, I did like a few chat chats before, and when I see a regular on someone else's image, I'm like, oh, I see how it is. Ouch. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Fuck you. All right. Fuck you.
You know what I do when that
I'm not a
happens?
real fan. What?
I call them out. I'm like, what the fuck? Come back right now.
Shadow, why are you watching his stream and not mine?
Yeah, exactly.
You
Come
little
back here
bitch.
right now.
You bitch made.
Go back to your
Wait,
stream.
where's your cat? Fuck you.
Come here. Come closer. You're outside of the camera. Come on. Come
Wait,
on,
no,
come on.
Vincent,
There you
you're
go.
watching from my stream. It says you're on mine.
Taking a
Did you
picture.
get confused? What? You're taking a picture? What?
Yeah,
Wait,
taking a
what?
picture.
Oh, it's broken. No, look.
You ruined everything. I can be everywhere.
What?
And I can be. Yeah, exactly. It's just
What?
funny.
How did I ruin it?
So Kura not what public? Wait, what? Kura's not was public
What?
domain at some point.
What?
That's a wild statement.
No.
I'm sub to
No,
both,
no,
but I
no,
can type in
no,
both.
no.
You should type half your sentence
no
in
one-
Kura's chat and then the rest on mine. then it's fair, okay? Oh, like, go follow him, chat, okay? Go
Huh?
follow him right now. Go follow him right now.
him.
Give him
Go follow
money.
him.
Oh my god, Jake,
No,
hi!
give him money.
I don't want money. I want your stinky money. Your ERP money.
What do you want instead?
I want actually, I mean, what? Oh no, mama. Oh. I was yawning, bro. This wasn't even a bit.
It's okay.
Jay, what the fuck are you doing, Kurdish chat? Come back here right now. My lead mod is in your chat.
I literally, have you spoken in my chat before? Like 2 messages. That's literally your first message in my chat ever.
They're doing it on purpose, I know that. You know, like,
Wow.
Jay is the perfect mod, you know why?
Why?
I modded them 5 years ago. We hanged out a little bit, never spoke to him again. And he's just like, does everything, and now he's a lead mod, and he kept my shit alive. If it wasn't for him, I would be fucked.
Well, so that's kind of the thing with like moderators, right? Is like a lot of people will want to try and get moderator. Okay, I mean this in like a nice way.
Always
right?
lurking though, yeah, watching.
You vibe with like a streamer, and you want to
He
become
hates
friends
me.
with them, right? Huh?
I'm pretty sure he
I
hates
don't
me.
hate you.
No, I'm pretty sure Jay, I'm pretty sure Jay hates.
Why would they show up to
Oh,
your
yeah, get
streams
closer.
if they hated you? Don't be oopid stupid.
I'm
You stupid
joking,
oopid.
he
You stupid
knows.
oopid. Yeah.
I have social
Although,
anxiety, okay?
On it. Me too.
I see them all in
wanna
the
make out
VC and I'm
about
like,
it?
I should join today. What?
What?
I don't think that fixes it. I don't think that fixes it. I don't think that fixes it.
Well, we can't have anxiety about talking if we can't talk.
See, there's something about streaming that when I click the start streaming button, the social anxiety goes away, and then when I stop, I'm like, I wanna die. I wanna actually die. I'm gonna put my head
Mine's
on that
opposite.
fire right there.
My social anxiety gets way worse whenever I click go live.
Really? I stress the
usually.
fuck out of
It kinda
myself.
depends.
I click the button, gone.
Like, I'm out of my wheelhouse right now. I don't think I've streamed a VR chat stream in months. And this is like the fresh install, so everything was like broken and not working. And you keep
could have just
petting
said
me.
no.
We're actually gonna have words after stream.
Okay, you are making this weird. I was comforting you, like as if, like, you know, it's okay. Anything else you wanna get out? I'm your therapist right now. I think this is just starting me more. I'm gonna stop. I don't know what's happening anymore.
I honestly lost my train of thought. I was completely gone there for a minute, thinking
What
about
the
other things.
fuck? This is an awesome job. It's not about an awesome job. It's like, I don't know how to explain. Like, overthinking, you know? It doesn't matter the size you are, at least for me. It doesn't matter like how I grew. Every single time when I started, maybe not when I started because I didn't really give a shit, but like after, I will bite you. Okay, I can see that. Anyway, stop scooching over. Come fucking over. You're like off the thing. Come here. I'm gonna like fucking headlock. There you go. Anyway, okay. What was I talking about? I forgot. I need to find Koda's boots because it's alterated his spouse. Oh yeah, okay. I will see if I can go there because there's like a very, very big storm thingy going on, but yeah. I completely sidetracked myself. I don't know what I was talking about. Anxiety, stream, anxiety.
I forgot to.
Oh. Okay, like whenever like I panic a little bit because I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna say. I don't know what I'm gonna do. How I'm gonna introduce myself. You know, what if like nobody shows up? What if I just like I don't know what to do? What if I say hi and then I just stare at you for like 10 minutes? Like I don't know. That's how my brain goes.
They like that though. That's like they like that. They want to just be stared
Nah,
at.
that doesn't work anymore. You need to
Why do
talk.
you think mute streamers are so popular?
No, okay.
Because then they can project all of their like inner thoughts and desires upon your cute face, and then it can be like,
I know.
God, he's so cute until he opens his
appreciate it.
mouth, and then you talk and you lose viewers.
I'm pretty sure.
No, that actually does happen. Have you ever had like a chill stream where like you end up being quiet for a while, just vibing out, and then like
I did
you
a
start
few years
talking
ago,
in and your
yeah.
shit drops.
I could have been
And
like,
it's
what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Am I just a
What is
fucking
that?
piece of meat?
Are you shedding? What the fuck was that?
Ew!
You need to be brushed. What the hell?
Oh.
Oh, it's a burp. Okay, I thought you were like shedding. What the fuck? I said that you're breathing loudly.
I'm getting phantom allergies.
Phantom allergies and your phantom pain. You know. Did you get your phantom VPN so you don't get phantom pregnant while phantom ERPing too now? I hate phantom stuff so much.
Really? I get
It's so
phantom
dumb.
sense. No, I get phantom sense. Yes.
How about you phantom sense my nuts then?
Okay.
Phantom,
Bro,
yeah.
what?
You gotta be careful. You gotta get a phantom STD, man, with how much you ERP.
Oh no.
Don't make me bring out the
clean,
tomatoes.
what
I
are
will
you-
trigger your phantom tomato allergy.
what is
Phantom
happening?
pregnancy is a thing. Phantom pregnancy.
No,
Okay,
it's not actually a thing.
not in VR chat, but in real life it exists. Like you can get like I don't know how it works, but it's a real thing. You can like have pregnant symptoms, even if you're not. I don't know how it works, but. Mpreg is a thing now. We are not going there. You guys have been trying to do that. There's like every time I post something, apparently.
Snowy pregnant when?
No, we're not we're not doing that.
I think you'd look pretty cute pregnant.
What's that supposed to mean?
Why'd you lean over? I don't know. I'm just saying on
This is
Hinge
why I love
shit.
them.
Make
It's
it-
so good.
I'm farming clips.
They like
I'm
compliment
farming
my
clips.
reactions. It's amazing. It makes it more dramatic.
Yeah. And they just like roll with whatever you say. So like,
I've trained them really
it's
well.
pretty cool.
Get some tweets.
What
like,
does he
after.
mean by that? What did he mean by saying that, chat? What did he mean by that?
You call me she.
I said he.
Okay, that was. I'm like, I'm not getting pregnant. I don't know.
I
what,
didn't say she.
Like, I'm
You
not
want me to
getting
call you
pregnant.
by she? I can if you
No.
want.
No,
You want me to call you a
Not.
good girl, Snowy?
that does absolutely nothing.
Oh, okay.
My penis has
No,
gone
then.
inside my body.
It's working.
What?
Sorry, I cracked myself up.
It's not working. I actually don't like it.
Do you get? You said your penis was inverting.
Oh, fuck off.
So-
God damn it. I'm leaving.
Good girl, Snowy.
Hi, Domino.
It took him actually so long.
Ah, fuck
That's
off.
crazy.
God damn
Oh
it.
god, my tracking.
One isn't trying hard enough. Yeah. Wait, no. No. I just agreed.
agreed.
I did the stream, yeah, like when you read something like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, you bitch said yeah.
I told you I'm not a degenerate. I had clean head. I was like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Tell that to my DMs.
I
Before
do
stream?
want to get that art thing. It's really pretty.
Yeah.
Cap.
Pretty, huh? I'm sorry to hear it, Cray.
See? Look. You watching? Gotta get one of those. Really good.
Do you want to be
Not
mine?
this one. Not this one. No, sorry. Gotta multiply
I'd pay
first.
you more than he pays you. I'd pay you in European.
You get
clear.
paid? Is
That
that
was
a reason
only
why I
half
don't
a
hear
game.
her speak?
I'm kidding. They're mute. They don't talk. They're more comfortable not speaking.
Yeah. See? It's more adorable when I have expressive mute instead of being like, hello chat.
Are they like a
like
full
me.
mute, or do they just usually not talk unless like you're in private? Have you never heard them speak? I'm sure you speak sometimes to some people, right?
Yeah. Not to me.
It's like, so
'Cause
I actually used to be a mute whenever I first started VR.
Me too.
Like
actually.
way back in 2018.
I think everyone starts like that, not gonna lie.
No, a lot of people are normal. We're weird.
Don't say it like that. What the fuck? Yeah, no, a lot of people are normal. They're not
It's
like
social
shit like
anxiety, bro. Like,
my
like we've
my
crippling social
VR
anxiety.
chat. Listen. My
My
VR chat.
manifested is like, rather than being like a pussy bitch, I was like the edgy kid in the corner that if you got close to me, I'd get mad at you.
Did you grr at people?
And it's like, why did I even get on VR?
Did you grr at people? Did you? Come on. Did you grr at people? You did, didn't you?
I mean, not like literally. Sometimes I say "grr," you know that, but like, no, I've never been like, get away from me.
Cause I have phantom sense.
Because I have phantom sense.
I love that dude.
He's so fucking. Dude, he committed to the line.
Oh, that
Where's
was
your brother?
so well delivered, man.
Where's my brother? Where's my brother? I don't have a brother. What? I mean, I
can
I
fix
have a
that.
brother, but you guys have never. What do you mean by that? Like, are we gonna be brothers?
No, I'll make you one.
You'll make me a brother.
Yeah.
You're gonna adopt me, and then you're gonna have a kid.
You know what? Never mind.
You can't make me a brother unless you're my dad.
Says
No.
Aw.
What do you mean, I'm not into that.
Wait, no.
not even a little
Okay,
bit.
I think you lost the plot here. I don't.
Wait, I'm so confused.
Oh, I'm crying.
What do you mean, where's my brother?
Yeah, where's your brother?
I'm really confused by that.
Oh, well, apparently Kane is your brother. Apparently Kane is
They
your
think
brother.
I'm Durgle! Bro,
Oh my god,
what?
Durgle's been so long!
How are you gonna come
Holy
into my
shit.
stream and think I'm the first off? Kane is
Oh
not
god,
my
here he
brother.
goes. Hide
I'm
me.
not British. The only similarity between Durgle and I is we both have red characters. That is it.
You gotta stop talking about
Where's
him.
your brother?
Old child, you wanna ball war?
But hold on. Listen, man. Look. I'm not trying to be rude, right? But like, imagine you're Durgle, right? And you're streaming, and then you come into his stream, in this case my stream, and the only thing you say is, "Where's your brother?"
You gotta to fix this. You gotta go to the Durgle stream and ask and say, "Hey, Kura, how you been?"
No, he'll get so angry. Don't do that to him, dude. He would actually like. See, I don't really give a shit. He would get mad.
I'll be
He
funny.
would get mad.
Totally
Don't do
do it.
that. No, hey, dude, don't start more beef with him.
If you,
Oh my
if you
god,
don't,
please.
If you ever wanna get banned, you know what to do.
I'm so tired of streamer drama. Please don't do that.
Streamer drama is so cringe. Not gonna lie. I just hang out with people who don't do streamer drama anymore. I don't give a shit. Like,
no,
that's people like.
Kane and I are just close friends. Like, we were like really close friends of the Image Earth for a while, but we're just friends.
Meow.
But I don't fucking know where that rabbit's at. Like, he's asleep most of the time. I barely see him these days. He's like, he'll come around. I probably see him more than most people do still, but he's just very eclectic. He bounces around. No, you're good. You're good. But even if he were, like, let's say I was his brother, don't come on, man.
Miniken is like weird. He is European, and
You're
we have like,
European.
yeah, technically I'm not in Europe anymore. But anyway,
But
like
you're not,
we had the
you're-
same
you're-
time zone.
you're-
Now I'm 1 hour in front of him. I never see him.
Well, that has nothing to do with time zones. That's him being busy
Yeah,
as
it's
shit.
his shit schedule. Nah, it's not
With
busy.
him, no, it's not even that. No, it flops around. No, he is
He
busy.
was
So
streaming
what
at
happens,
7
right?
a.m. Holy shit.
What? Oh yeah, Kane was live for ages playing Phasmophobia, if that's what they're on about.
Is that a new update?
Huh?
Is that a new update? Or is it just like fun?
Oh, I'm not sure. We haven't played in ages. I didn't play
I think
it.
there was a new update
They
going
were
on.
playing it. I wasn't invited. He was in my
7
server and in the live room.
I was playing in your server live and invite you. God damn.
I know, dude, he
creature.
does it all the time. He'll jump to
creature.
my server. It doesn't even say fucking hi to me. It's so dumb. Him and Batteries. So Batteries is the person like follows him around, right? They're the two people who are like,
I will totally cause drama.
know.
Like, Kane, why don't you even say hi to me?
oh, I do. I give him a hard time all the time. I don't actually care, but I give him a hard time.
Oh,
And we've been watching Walking Dead, right? Like getting through it. I think we're on like season 7 now.
what
But
now?
we're always having
The what now? Something that I didn't get.
Walking Dead.
Walking, okay.
Yeah, Walking Dead. And he'll like join and look at whatever I'm streaming in Discord, like whatever it is, and he'll go, "This isn't Walking Dead."
I like how I did his voice.
It doesn't matter like what I'm doing. And with half the time we're waiting on him to watch it because he's either I sleep and he's dead, or he's just like, dude, he fixated on fursuits for like 2.5 months. Where if you talk
Did he
to
get
him,
one?
all he would talk about are fursuits. No, he still hasn't gotten one.
Oh my god.
He visited. He came to US for MFF, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into it. I was gonna go with him because it's not too far away from where I live. It's like a 4-hour drive, and one of my roommates was going, but there was someone he was going with that I felt like if I met them in person, bad things would happen.
You gonna punch him?
Uh,
You gonna cause more drama?
yeah. I'm not a violent person, man, but like I'm a very, what's the word? Fuck, what's the word when you have like
You can do this.
you stick to your morals?
You can just say that. So
No, there's a word. There's a word specifically for it. Virtuous. Like
okay,
if you're a
yeah,
virtuous
yeah,
person,
yeah.
right? Like you have like these values and you stick to them, right? There's certain things that if you do to like someone I care about that I cannot forgive, right? I
No,
can't
it
be
makes sense.
specific,
It makes sense. It makes sense.
but trust me when I say that 90% of people, if they knew the situation, they would understand why.
Morals are just crash. Nice.
So yeah, I was really afraid, and then honestly, my
We're very violent. Don't like me. Yeah, you. He's a very violent
I'm
person.
not violent.
Super
I
violent.
just,
He beats me up every time we stop him. True story.
in bed.
It's kind of cool, but like, it's whatever.
Bro, I wish we had that kind of relationship.
Fuck.
Well, no, not
Why?
literally beat you up. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
What do you mean? Why? We
Go
have
on.
history. Shut the fuck up.
Go on.
We have history.
I want to see where you like gonna keep
No.
going digging yourself.
No,
I'm just
I don't
here,
want-
man.
we should.
I'm a viewer. I'm
We have
watching you.
history. Yeah, I'll give you something to watch, bitch.
You see this shit. See what I have to deal with.
You hear the blush in his voice.
What blush? I'm fucking normally.
Yeah, yeah,
what do you
we-
mean?
yeah.
Fuck you.
I'll just. Okay, let's go.
I literally cannot talk to you. God damn it. No, stop. I will abuse you right here on stream. You gonna fight me? No? Oh.
Yeah, I know One Piece is finally ending the first season. I'm on episode like, I think I'm in like the high 600s, like late 600s of One Piece. I've been watching through it. Have you seen One Piece? Like, have you watched through it at all?
I will never touch One Piece. I have stand on my
said
ground.
that-
I will never
No,
touch
I said
One
that
Piece.
it's really hard to get into. Like the first 50 to 100 episodes, I would say, and like that's I know that seems
You
crazy.
can't
right?
say that about
But-
it. Yeah, that sounds fucking insane.
Okay, but listen,
Alright.
keep in mind with episodes, right? Because of the format of them, especially when they were like early 2000s, like early, late 90s, it was like an episode was like 15 minutes of actual footage. Like the rest is like the intro, the outro. Like you're it's
I
not,
don't know, man. Another thing is like the style that I don't like. I just don't. It doesn't. I tried. Like, it's just one of those things I know I'll never get into.
Dude,
Like-
okay, I'm gonna be real. There's some parts where it like really fucking drags and like you're just watching to get through it. But I'm telling you, there's some parts that are fucking worth it. Like when they say there's peak moments, there are peak moments, dude. Like there's some character deaths and like there's some shit that happens and like it gets real.
I will watch
And then the thing
when
is,
they finish.
right, Luffy, I fucking hated Luffy when I first started watching. Like I genuinely fucking hated them. But you kind of begin to understand what kind of person he is as you watch. It's like he seems stupid, and it's not that he's like necessarily dumb. It's that he puts his whole heart into shit. And for better or for worse, what you see is what you're gonna get with him. And like you know, there's like ups and downs with that, right? There's positive and negatives. Yes, he's headstrong and he jumps into things head first, but he's also like he has like this
You're cute when you're learning.
way. Dude, we're gonna fuck if you keep saying this shit to me.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew you were gonna say that.
Like this.
I knew you were gonna say that. I was waiting for what, like I had this on my head all planned. I was like, I'm gonna wait until he pauses. Anyway, you wanna go on? I forgot.
It's worth watching, especially like okay, like for instance, you and Goots. If you just want to throw something on the background, put it on the English dub, and just
no,
let it
no,
play.
you lost me. You lost me. You lost me.
No. So I prefer the Japanese dub or the Japanese sub of almost everything, right? But there are so many fucking episodes of One Piece, and I'll be honest, a lot of the time you don't even need to be paying attention to what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so much easier to toss it up when I'm doing other stuff and like get the gist of it. What are you looking at? What are you looking at?
I was just messing with my menu. I'm not looking at you, don't worry.
Am I boring you?
No, I was just fixing something. I had like the wrong tab open. Dashboard. There you go. I'm listening.
No talk me Engi.
You Engi. I don't know. I was a Naruto person.
I finished Naruto.
You
I watched
Naruto?
all of Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. I've watched a decent amount of Naruto, like
How
50
much is
to 100
decent?
episodes.
Okay, so can I tell
I-
you something? You're not even in the main story because Boruto is 70% filler. Boruto starts on
Yeah.
episode 20.
I got fucking
insane.
tired of it.
I skip go see the because like there's such a big difference between the actual canon and the stupid
Yeah.
anime stuff.
Dude, Shippuden
They're
was
so
peak,
s-
though.
they're-
Shippuden was so good.
There's some scenes in Boruto that I'm like,
fucking love Shippuden.
holy shit, I wasn't expecting this. The actual good episodes, not the really bad ones. I don't want to spoil. I know how long you watch, but like there's two scenes where I'm like, fuck, I almost cried.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, so the person I was watching it with is very hard to get a hold of, so we just haven't been watching it. Maybe I'll get back into it at some point. Maybe after I finish One Piece.
I don't think I'll manage to, but I don't know. So like in terms of anime, I kind of stopped. Like I stopped watching recently. Boruto, I tried getting into it, but I found out it's not finished yet. I stopped again because it's gonna piss me off. But before.
Yeah, because if you can't fixate on it, then if you can't fixate
No,
on
because
it,
then I'm gonna have to. No, if I finish it, I'm gonna have to buy the manga because I need to know what happens, and then it's gonna be a lot of money. But
So you're that flavor of Tism.
I have to. I can't just fucking stop. Like that's not how it works.
Is that how you work in bed too?
Yeah.
Okay, noted.
Unless I'm tired.
I feel that. I'm always tired.
I was talking about anime. I'm fucking. How did you
Happened with
spin this
Spice
to
Wolf.
ERP?
Bitch! Ah, don't even fucking
Spice Wolf!
Dude,
Oh.
I love Spice and Wolf. I love that shit when I was
I
younger.
have
And like
all
episode,
the
season 2
manga. Do you
came
want me to take a
out-
picture?
No.
I have the whole thing.
So season 2 came out. I don't know if season 3 ever came out. But
No,
like
it's
season
finished.
2 came out and I watched it. Wait, what?
No, they were on a boat and then they left and like it ended.
Yeah, and then you never nothing ever happened again, right? They never put any.
Not on the
Rest of it
anime,
out.
but they have
Man,
have
yeah,
a
the
kid.
manga, but like. You spoiling. Don't tell me that.
I don't know, it's super old at this point.
You're
Spice and
super
Wolf,
old.
there's a
I'm
remake
super
now.
old.
Watch it, it's really good. This is what I'm gonna say. So I used to watch like fighting anime and
Are you
Naruto,
saying
and,
Booble
you know,
Beast?
whatever. Booby Beast.
What, Tim?
Phototeta? Phototeta? No Phototeta? Okay, whatever.
Oh, Booby Beast. Oh, they're calling them a Booby Beast.
Not a
That's
booby
like right
beast,
up
don't
your
be
aesthetic,
evil.
though, Tim. Like, you would smash. Like, I know you like that shit.
Can you
Because
stop
that's what you
smashing
are.
my
Like,
friend?
you like.
24/7.
Why?
I'm trying to talk about Spice and Wolf, man. Please. I don't want to be horny
No,
anymore.
You already spoiled it for me. Fuck you.
Ah, it's fine. I don't know how it happens. I just saw it in the
Why
cover.
do you
I'm
keep
like, oh.
turning to me and making this prolonged eye contact?
False Furry Beast. Oh yeah, there's a new Furry Bite anime. Yeah, I don't know the name. There's two new Furry Bite
yeah,
ones actually.
I saw
girl and the wolf
with,
guy.
like, yeah, with the mall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe I'm just too gay for that. Like, it didn't really. I don't
Could
know.
be like if it was a dude though. Maybe I'll watch it. Okay, I gotta get my power bank. Give me like.
Dude, my
3 seconds.
Nightbot has an owl for your coffee bot.
Yeah, you should totally check out my coffee. You got like really cool rewards chat. And curious chat, by the way. I'm joking, I don't have shit there.
Okay.
But hey, if you want to support me, actually I need to talk about this with you, because I don't think you know what I'm gonna do.
Do what?
You.
Huh?
No, okay, let me just put this. The bots are flirting. Okay, anyway. I'm here. Oh
Are we
god.
gonna do like a collab of the other kind? That's gonna happen? Is that the
other
sub
kind?
goal? The other kind.
The other kind? I don't think they'll think my image, man. I can't do that shit.
You
What about my sponsors, man? I can't do that.
Washed. What do you mean? We're
What do I say
washed
to World of
streamers.
Tanks?
What image?
It's such a small waste. Don't worry about it.
How
Don't worry
many
about it.
subs to get a recording?
Hey, if you're
Zoe and I have
serious,
never
2000.
fucked. We have never ERP'd.
What the fuck?
Not
You
even
can
once.
just say that. Now you ruined the moment.
No, so they understand my pain. Like, do you know how much
What do you mean
sexual tension
pain?
you and I've had? We've known each other for like 5
I just
years,
exist,
okay?
bro. Just because
There's
you're
been
horny.
like multiple times. There's been multiple. You've been horny towards me, and I have said no. You were emotionally vulnerable.
So
dealing
the
with
thing,
a
like,
breakup.
the thing I do is like, I push you, and then like you like come on and like, no. Nope, I'm joking.
Well, now. But like then, it was me saying no.
I think someone is serious about the subs. You should answer that.
Huh? Somebody says to make it happen.
Help me.
I don't think that could
Help
happen.
me.
ID. Go back to sleep, T. It's okay, T.
What's even going on? I want to talk about Spice and Wolf. Can we stop this? Please.
Let's not talk about Spice and Wolf.
Why not?
Let's talk about something else. Because
No,
I don't
not
want spoilers.
Not
You
about the
already-
content. About like why. So, like, I used to always watch like fighting bullshit, like anime, just like Naruto and shonen bullshit. And then I saw Spice and Wolf one day, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? And then I googled, I was like, oh, it's called Slice of Life, and I'm like, ooh, this looks cool. So I literally binge watch every like fucking Slice of Life thing ever. I watched Toradora, Golden Times,
Really?
Plastic Memories,
I don't like
Angel
I don't like
Beats,
Slice of
Angel
Life.
Beats.
Angel Beats isn't really Slice
like-
of Life. That's
I literally made myself depressed by watching those fucking anime. I watched
you were
everything.
like a fucking. You were a fucking neat gooner. You were like a fucking.
It's not gooning, it's like sad.
weeaboo.
They all have sad endings. It's so fucked up.
Well, like yeah, but you were like a full-on like
Toradora is amazing.
you were a chud.
I watched so many. What else? Like, cause they're 12 episodes each. But I just fucking sped run through. This is when I was buying my Rift S. I was watching Slice of Life animes on my living room and refreshing Amazon. Angel Beats, man, that ending. Oh.
Promise
And what's the
Neverland.
what's the one
It's
where they
okay.
ban? There's one like with bloodbenders, and there's like this really cute white and like red stripes girl. They use blood as a weapon. It's really cool. The guy has like a
That one has a
shred
really
blood gun
cool
thingy.
animation. Yeah, she has like scissor, like blood scissors, right?
No, she's white, fully white. And nice
Oh, no, I
red
don't
stripes. They're like in a prison or something.
One.
Yeah, they're like in a prison and they have blood bending
That was
basically.
cool. Yeah.
Not Kill La Kill.
No, Kill La Kill is meh.
Devil Chainman. No,
Was it-
I know
was
if
it
you
Devil
guys.
Chainman? No, it might be Devil
No,
Chainman.
I know if you guys say it, I will like
Not
immediately
Chainsaw Man. I think
remember.
it was Devil Chainman.
Dead Man in
Dead Man
Wonderland. There you
yeah,
go.
that's what it was. I've seen that.
I love how brains work. You just immediately remind yourself.
No, Sakura
And then
said
I went to
something.
a phase after Slice of Life where I just watched the most degenerate stuff. Interspecies reviewers. What's the other one?
okay.
The one with the dragon guy that had like he has a dragon transformation and like the more boobs he sees, the more powerful he gets.
Dude, I cannot
And then-
watch that trash.
And then there's an
I
Mirai
cannot
Nikki
watch
is
that
really good.
trash.
Mirai Nikki is really
No,
good.
fuck
And then there's
that.
another one
Mirai
where
Nikki is good.
how to not
Hold on.
summon a demon lord, where they end. The demon lord is inside the girl, and the guy is like extracting the demon lord, and then he's like, "I can't reach you. I gotta go inside," and he shoves his hand up. And like and then he extracts the demon lord.
trash.
I was like,
Dude,
"What the
Mirai
fuck?"
Nikki though. Wait. T,
High
have
School
you seen
DxD.
Mirai Nikki?
Yeah, I see
Fuck
Mirai
High
Nikki.
School
Yeah,
DxD.
it's really good.
It's-
When they
No,
do the
I'm asking
reveal of
T.
the thing.
Your name isn't T.
Why not? Be a cool nickname.
I mean, you wanna be my Pookie? You wanna come visit me?
Nah.
So there you go.
High School DxD, High School of the Dead.
I got
too.
rejected.
The one with like the booby shot, where they shoot a sniper between the tits, like doing this. Whoosh. You should.
We
you
should
don't
watch
like
Mirai
anime?
Nikki at some point.
Did you see that?
Mirai
So good.
Nikki's fucking
Mirai Nikki,
Mirai
like when they
Nikki's
did like
like
the reveal thing, you know.
perfect yandere.
When they reveal what's happening, like on the
Yeah.
plot, I was like, wow.
Yeah. Oh, I need to watch Mirai Nikki again.
What's the
Yes,
one
that's
called with and shoving up where? How to not summon a demon lord. And have you seen Interspecies Reviewer? I know from the reaction you know what it is. It's a world and there's like many species, you know, like cat girls and cowgirls and whatever girls. And there's a group of guys that just fucks them and
Gateway
reviews them.
furries.
They
Oh.
fuck them and they review them.
So
That's
it's
the whole
hentai.
thing. No, you don't see it. There's a
What's the
hyena.
point if you don't
There's a
even
hyena
see?
episode where the guy picks like a giant female hyena, and
Oh.
yeah, and then he's like, oh,
Oh.
kind of funny.
That's kind of hot.
How to not summon? And chat is like, okay, what was that again? Hey. What else?
He likes fan service. Yeah.
I just like. Oh, Gate. Have you seen Gate? There's gonna be a new thing.
Mite. Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same. Is it the military one?
Yeah, Gate.
It's so good. Oh. I think they're getting a new season now. At least they announced it. New studio. Yeah, there's an episode where they became woman. And there's an episode with like tiny
Yeah,
fairies.
I already
and,
talked about One Piece earlier, T, and somebody didn't want to hear it. Somebody was like, "I sleep."
Okay, let me finish this. There's an episode on the reviewers where they go to the fairy thing and they're super tiny, and there's a guy with his dick is too big, so he can't do anything. So they have to measure them to pick the right person so they don't kill them. It's so stupid. Oh, and the bird one, where they're there's a bird one where they're all watching this girl lay an egg. It's so dumb.
Oh, the fucking! He put his fingers in my mouth. I bit it. Ayo?
What did you do? I didn't see that.
Ayo? They chomped at me.
Very chompy.
You know the Telltale Games
Igarashi,
text?
isn't that the incest one? I don't want to watch that.
the
incest
Telltale
one.
Games. Like
Yeah.
Kuro will remember that. Kuro liked that.
Everyone disliked that. Oh, I want to put that as a stream redeem now. Every time I say something fucked up, it's just like everybody is like that. Ah. The guy sausage so long it will kill the fight, yeah. What else did I watch now? Now I'm gonna remember. Dragon Ball. I watched Dragon Ball Super. I didn't like Dragon Ball before.
I don't know much about Dragon Ball.
It has my favorite scene if you watch it dub. Where there's a guy coming from the sky, and then like there's
Stop
cops.
being cute.
There's cops surrounding the guy, and then someone comes like at him, just screams, "Don't shoot him! He isn't black." And I was, it's so funny. It's Goku Black. It's called Goku Black.
Why are they
but
hiding
just
from
said,
me?
"Cause you're scary."
Am I scary?
Yeah, you're very scary. He's very scary.
Am I? I don't feel
He'll
scary.
beat you up.
I mean, maybe.
The neighborhood might be loved. But okay, Goku the main character, blah blah. There's this there's one anime I recommend to everyone, even if you don't like anime. Watch Ghost Stories in English. Ghost Stories in English.
Yeah, that's the one where they didn't give a fuck about the actual
It's so
translation. And
good.
they just, it's basically like an abridged
Shirotami!
YouTube series.
We can be
But it's-
together, not because you're a bunny, but because you're black. It's so dumb. You see, kids, when the bunny girl and the bunny boy like each other very much. If you want context, it's an anime from Japan that went really badly. It's like a horror thing, but it was super bad.
I've seen it.
I'm talking to chat. Stop being so jealous. So needy. Stroke me
People are
harder.
gonna write fanfics about us. You can't keep doing this.
You know I have a fanfic like from when I started. Someone wrote a full ass fanfic. Where do we have that? It's still on the server somewhere. Nossa.
Stroke
Are
me,
you
stroke me
looking
harder.
for who asked? No, yeah, was that
What,
the...
Georgie? Can you? I'm not sure, T. Don't you have work today?
Oh. No, they didn't lose the translation. It was so bad that they just gave the thing to the dub studio and they like, do whatever you want, we don't care. Make it good. It may be on the Renz's thing. And there's this one kid, there's a kid. Like there are a bunch of kids. There's like this tiny kid. And they made him literally just scream. He doesn't have any lines. He appears and goes "Rawr, rawr, rawr, rawr." It's so dumb. Oh,
I haven't seen the actual like Ghost Stories anime, but I've watched lots of clips.
you need to watch. It's like constant stupid.
Why do you keep pointing
shit.
at me? Why do you keep pointing at me? Eh?
Behind you? There's like someone else there. This is playing a very sad song on my thing now and just looking at each other. This is weird. Ah, oh, Cody's very dorky. A police station, thank God! We did like a watch on VR one time. I think it was with like, I don't know if it was a group or not, but maybe. We need to do like a meetup where we watch like this thing. Really cool.
We could do like a once a month community night where we watch a movie.
Oh, mine does it every week.
I can't fucking do every week, dude.
I don't join them. They do it without me. Not allowed in there.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually really
What?
proud.
Your community
I'm
has
actually,
like a fucking like. I guess
they do
technically
they
mine
do
does
two
too.
they do two meetups
I
a
don't
week.
know. See, I don't.
I
really
joined
consider
tomorrow,
them, like, they don't really like. It's not part of my group stuff. It's just kind of like a group of friends that watches me and Kane and you, and they just hang out.
Like
once a week.
No, we have actual community meetups. So Julia's been doing like a really good job managing everything, and I've been trying to show up on the Sunday one.
Bro, you have like people.
It's going on.
Shit.
It's going
What
on.
What is this?
It's no tomorrow. No tomorrow I can't.
My
Tomorrow's
mod's need to
Saturday.
step up.
I think I got real. I just got.
No,
I didn't tell anyone to do anything. It just happens.
What the fuck, man?
I'm really lucky. I just meet
Step
like
up your
cute
game,
people.
chat.
Literally, like I just like I'm lucky. Okay. Yeah, we gotta meet the right people. We gotta stop hanging with drama.
Start what?
You gotta stop hanging with drama and meet nice people.
We can't keep meeting like this.
Oh. It's been based on your group many times. See, you guys should do more meetups, and you should not allow crew to join.
Hold on,
Stream meetups are different. I usually invite friends or people like that I know more a little bit better.
Wait, what'd you say? Sorry, I was my AI chat pet was talking over you.
How dare you? How dare you?
How dare him?
How
He's a
dare
mind of
you.
his own. Today
How
he's
dare
chosen
you?
Twitch
Do you
chat
know
mod.
what AI has done for
Yesterday, he
the
was
for the
referring to
planet,
himself as
Kura?
Skulldoggo instead of his name. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Do you know
Kura,
what AI did for the planet, Kura? Speaking about AI, did you see the new NVIDIA news? Gonna love it.
Which fucking wait? What news?
No more, no new GPUs in 2026, and they're ramping up the low-end production, and they canceled the super variation of the cards, and they're dropping the stock, like they're dropping the stock and manufacturing of new GPUs by 20% to put it onto AI cards only.
Okay, so hot take, that's actually good
Why?
because it forces developers to actually optimize their games.
Yeah, no, but then a GPU is like $5,000.
What do you mean? If they're ramping up low in production, the only reason GPU is so expensive is because of the RAM backorder, which is already
Yeah,
kinda
they're
petering
decreasing
out
it more.
because- yeah, well, for now, I think it's gonna blow over within the next year or two because they've already decided, there's already so much confusion about who's actually buying all of that memory. People have ordered
It's
it,
just fucked.
but now
This
because
year
of how AI
is
is
so
plateauing, yeah, I don't know.
Like
We'll see.
they canceled GPUs, like new GPUs for the foreseeable future. It's like kind of insane.
I don't like bacon, actually, Barrick.
You don't like bacon? The fuck? What do you mean?
What?
We're just gonna kick him out, and like we're gonna do our own stream over there. We're gonna go to the bacon corner, okay?
My fucking AI just said this hellhound doesn't strip for bacon. You're gonna have to try something more sinister.
What's more sinister than bacon?
I don't know, dude. He really likes the word spooky, and he likes talking about spooky shit and like bats and Halloween and shit, right? And he really fixates on that. Right? Yesterday, like I said, he had like a random fixation on calling himself Skulldoggo like, every fucking message.
It's cute.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Considering Compromise probably a host for 2-3 years, other parts might be available sooner. Hey, maybe we're all gonna run on with server shit. Who knows? We're all gonna be running like fucking Quadro and whatever the fuck GDDR7 like AI cards. Who knows? It's just depressing, like, cause
I also don't like bacon.
if my GPU breaks, I'm completely fucked. I cannot get the same anymore. Kind of crazy. And you saw someone
Why are there so
carrying.
many
I
people
will
who are
poke
just
you.
joining and then watching you scared? Is
I
this
don't know.
normal?
I keep telling them they can approach me.
They're
not my
like all
fault.
hiding.
I'm loading you. You have 180 megabytes. I'm lagging.
You can. I can see. I can see you. Mom buys me megabytes instead of Legos. I love that shirt.
Listen, I'm
There
in
we
small
go.
instances. I have more optimized avatars. I'm just not in one right now. I
I
didn't
don't know if this
expect to go
avatar is good or
live.
not.
I was just saying. I was just fixing my VR
Look
because I
at me,
haven't
I'm
watched VR since I
cool,
fucking
and I keep
reinstalled Windows. And
crying.
I'm on a
Wah,
medium
my
VR.
Windows. Wah.
suck my dick.
Oh, oh.
Yeah, go on.
Children. Children.
We're just bad.
Oh, I cried.
So
Oh.
reached.
Because
Oh, how did we get there? How did we get here? God
Ah.
damn.
by living.
Dude, it's something about me and you. Whenever we're in the room together, there's just so much sexual tension. We should do something about that.
We can neuter you or something. Maybe that'll work.
I mean,
Get your balls off.
I need that? No, you can't do that. I need it. Sorry.
Why the fuck do you need that for anyway?
T.
T?
T. He's in chat. T.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Nice haircut, by the way. I think they just shared political stuff together.
Yeah, I signed Jeffrey Epstein and didn't kill himself.
Okay, I legitimately, okay, hot take, I do actually think that he didn't.
Do you see the thing? His Fortnite account is active now. He's just fucking playing.
Oh no, it's people who logged in.
It's so funny
those
though.
Credentials. But no, I think he's dead. I just don't think it was suicide.
It's actually crazy if you think of. Do you know that the fucking
No,
crown
because
princess
they're-
of
they're-
Norway now has been exposed of like flirting with him?
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
The royalty of the country I just moved to. I'm like, you guys just ruined this
Nah,
country,
dude,
man.
that guy like
How is he
that guy,
everywhere?
he's
not
a
even pretty.
he was a genuinely
Holy shit.
fucking foul human being.
You know what? Like, it's actually impressive what it does in a fucked up way because like, how are you in everything? Like how? It's insane. Whatever.
Yeah,
We're not gonna talk about that. I was joking. You want to teach sign? Do you want to teach
God
sign
damn it,
language?
you silly Lucian.
Sure. What'd you say to them?
Okay. Do this. Like this. Like, you know. And then this, like one time. Just one time. Like, yeah, yeah. And then this.
No, fuck you.
What? It's fuck me harder,
seems
daddy.
Okay, yeah, so I
What?
stopped at the right point.
Hard.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't
Father.
want the last
It's not
part.
daddy, it's father.
Oh.
First thing, so, like, when I started VRChat, I didn't speak. And literally, the first time I joined, I met like a mute person. And they were showing me around VRChat without speaking. Like, just, like, waving and whatever. And then I was like,
Yeah.
what is this? And then they took me to the sign language world. I just learned a bunch of bullshit. The first thing they was like, hey, we're gonna teach you how to say the most fucked up shit. So yeah, like, just fuck me harder, daddy, and a bunch of other crap.
How can you say that word? Like, I physically have a hard time saying that word.
What word?
The word with the Y at the end that you said. I physically can't say it. Like,
Come on. You can do it. One time.
Come
I'm
on.
not
Come
going
on.
to. I'm not going. No.
Come on.
because
Come
chat will
on,
clip
get
that
it
shit.
out.
No.
Get
listen,
it out.
chat, you
Come
don't
on.
understand. They will clip that shit and replay it and put it in fucking servers and fucking no.
Say it.
But what if someone else says it and afterwards you
I will
say
say it with you.
deal for deal?
Huh? No, I don't care if other people say it.
Oh, I don't watch that fucking video. It's so funny. It's a guy going like, it's a white guy complaining that like, oh, white people can say the N-word, right? And then like, the guy turns him like, then say it. If you want it so much, like on live TV. Like, come on, if you want to. And he's like, it's so threatening. He's like, I will say it with you. I was like, I love that shit.
If I get a pass, sure. Or if I say with a black person, sure. Otherwise, no.
Now you're being weird.
What do you mean?
How long are you usually live for, by the way?
Like 4 or 5
We're
hours.
furries.
That's
Oh, I'm sorry. My collaboration is too big for you to handle, huh?
Oh, I can handle it. It's okay. Just take it slow.
I'm currently lurking, so I have no idea what the current chit chat is about, so I'm sorry if I may change the subject, but have you talked to Goots about marriage
That's a
yet?
clip.
Lol, love shell shocking.
That's a
No.
that's easy.
Fuck, man.
That's easily clippable.
Nom, 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 nom. But I agree with you. Saying that word is kind of cringe. I just said it for fun. I think people said it like literally. It's like, shell shocking at least works somewhat. Nah. I'll do it to crew. How about that?
You'll do what to me?
Hold on.
Oh, okay,
like
we're
this.
doing a bit here.
Ass.
Crew.
Yes.
We're open. Oh. There you go. Do you wanna be my ERP partner forever? That was too. That was too easy. I don't like this. That was too easy. That was too easy. Deny. I'll take it back. I'll take it back. Oh, you're making T cry. You're making T cry. Look at that.
He's
Look
okay.
at it.
No, he's
Look at it.
joking.
Nice
He's not actually-
crying. No, look, it's on the floor.
No,
Wow.
listen, I know T.
Wow.
I know T.
T, can you join and like cry here and like roll around or something? Oh, Kenny's playing Rust. There you go. Speaking about him.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I shit myself. Poor thing. See how you treat him. You should
He gets jelly,
totally,
but, like,
T,
okay,
you should
look,
totally
alright,
unmod
look.
yourself right now. Slash
If I
unmod.
actually look, if I actually wanted to do some shit with someone and I talked to him about it, we'd talk about it and it'd probably be fine. Okay. he jokes. Don't worry.
War. 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 A Wagamar. Better make the. What the fuck is happening?
Oh my fucking god. Sorry Goots for finding it out this way,
Dude,
lol, not
chat,
serious.
Snowy like sat
Sorry.
on my lap before stream and like it's like echoing in my brain when he did that. Like that was nice.
Echo. It's because you don't have anything. I'm confused, too good. Don't worry. You're not the only one. Yeah, I was holding a big fart and I was like, I gotta hide it somewhere.
That's so fucking gross, bro.
Yeah, you gotta take a big shower now. Tour is never gonna clean his lap ever again.
Ew.
Hey, at least it's warmer.
Speaking about warmer, do you pee on the beach, like on the water?
What?
Do you pee like on the water, like when you're in the beach?
No, I've never peed at the beach.
God damn it, Mike. No, wow, really? Why? Well, what if you have to pee? What do you do? Just go home?
You know, there's usually like bathrooms. You walk to them.
No.
Yeah.
No, why would you walk? There's like a giant bathroom like right
Or
there.
go like piss in a bush.
Vixen tail.
Don't pee in the water.
You gotta make it warmer. It's so good. That's illegal. Is it illegal? Oh well, arrest me.
It'll make it warmer in the ocean.
Yeah, the whole ocean is gonna increase 2 degrees every time you piss.
What's your degree in?
What? I didn't do anything.
Not in physics.
You can't keep looking at me like that and smiling.
Okay. Sorry.
You can't keep doing this to me, man.
Come. What, do you have like a
What
stool?
are you doing?
Oh, bed.
Goods, can I bang your boyfriend?
What the fuck?
What the fuck? What did
Help.
they turn back into?
Help! 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 Pick my
Why are
place.
you hiding behind a woman?
I'll replace. I like how you just woke up, chat. Just say something, don't just end on that.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for.
Waiting for it! There's no answer! There's not gonna be an answer!
I'm waiting for answer.
Go for it.
I
He
think you're
needs
just
a
gonna
good-looking laugh.
get a pen into the face as an answer.
As long as you record it. Is that like
Not my
unironic, or is that like, are you fucking
What do you
around?
mean?
Or are you saying actually? Like real talk.
No, there's no real talk.
I'm not asking you. The adults are talking.
Oh, okay, so you're just gonna do the bad word to me, I guess. If I
Yes.
didn't... What?
Oh no, okay, they're serious. Okay, if as long as we record it and I send it to them. There you go. You have permission from one side, now you just have permission from the other.
You deal with that. I'm doing shit.
Huh? What?
I like, shut the fuck up, the adults are talking, okay? I'm like, whatever, I'll just stand here.
Snowy literally just said before stream that he doesn't see me as anything but a top, so we already know who's
I
getting
know, I always
banged.
get that energy from you, like, since I met
Yeah.
you. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Well, that's because I was like super dummy when we met.
Pretty sure. My view is like stuck on that.
Only ERP though. Yeah, I don't mean IRL. I'm actually okay. So
You gotta
I'm
clarify,
mostly ace
okay?
IRL. I'm not super. I mean, there's no mostly. I'm ace IRL. Like I'm really just not.
Can you guys stop having
very
a serious
interested in
conversation?
sex.
I don't like this.
Why? Well, I mean, if it ever comes up, at least you know you have like kind of permission. Not that it
No,
will
it's not gonna come
'cause
up.
I feel like if it was gonna happen, it would have probably happened already. We've known each other for so fucking long. So.
Today was a good stream, chat. I'm feeling kind of tired. We're gonna go raid out. We're gonna go raid out.
I'm just gonna chug a fucking beer at this point.
I'm gonna get a
no,
banana.
know
real
what the
talk,
fuck is
like,
going on.
like my viewers know this. I'm basically ace IRL. I'm really just not interested.
I
in
know a lot of
sex.
people like that actually.
Like
it's
Well,
Did
like,
you wash
I've
your
had
ass
sex, and it's
today?
always been meh, right? Even the sex that was good, like it's like I get to a
See, we
point
could
where
totally change that,
halfway
but,
through
like-
I'm like, man, I would totally just. I would rather be watching
You
the
just
show and
Curry's
covering
just
right
like
now.
there, like thinking
I
about
want-
One Piece. Man, I wonder what Luffy's doing right. Fuck, I just came out.
Well, actually,
It was getting so interesting.
Funnily enough, with my ex, it was actually we were watching through Shippuden at the time. So it was Shippuden.
I keep putting you on the camera. Come on. You keep like squeezing out.
Either record or let me be there. I'm fine with either.
You like horse racing community? Why are you guys too like? Why is T involved now?
Huh?
Why is T involved now?
I don't know.
You guys are weird. You know this.
Dude, if we made like okay, if we made like, you know, content, I feel
Oh,
like it
it'll be
would go hard.
amazing. Yeah, it'll be fucking
Yeah.
amazing.
You know,
I have
okay,
so many
you
degen
know,
ideas.
I don't talk about it much, but you know I actually have like that.
I know, I
right?
follow you.
No, I have like an actual like paid for thing too.
Paid for a thing, huh?
Yeah.
Go on.
I'm washed though. I've already kind of like I haven't made any new stuff. Well, so I get distracted with shit and I put it on pause. Like I've stopped charging people until I like make new shit. But it's purely, I'll be honest, and I'm super honest. It's purely for money. Like it's 100%. It's like
I
think
can't
I
say
can
that.
do it,
You have to
and it's
enjoy it,
nice.
because then people's like,
No,
oh, it's just for
yeah,
money.
it's
You're not
fun,
gonna
but
watch.
like it's fun to do. It's fun to create, right? I don't get off. Like it's always 100% acting, right?
Oh,
But,
if people saw what it takes to do those videos, like
dude, it's so
most of it
cringe.
is just
like, having to
bullshit.
direct people
Yeah.
and like, dude, it's so cringe. Like, and then they're laughing and being fucking stupid half the time. If I made bloopers of that shit, oh my god.
You should like backstage. I will watch the
could do
backstage
that,
ones.
like-
So
Yeah.
you know what? I, like
But,
today, last week. Last week I forgot at work. I forgot I was a furry. Because I talking with my coworkers. I have two people with like around my age, and I was like, oh, you guys wanna play Ark Raiders this Friday? And I'm like, oh yeah, that game looks cool. And then I was like, fuck, now I gotta add them on Steam.
Oh, is that why your profile picture is different?
Yeah.
You changed it to. That's
But I'm like,
dude,
they're gonna go on my profile's like 7,000 hours in VR chat. That's
I don't know.
something.
Yeah.
Nobody
Oh, no.
knows. Like,
Oh, no.
like on the
But
corner, like
also-
Snowy's playing Enter Heat or something.
So
You got a big raid, by the way.
I do feel.
Go do your raid
I,
thing.
I feel like what I was doing. I feel like I need to like clarify. Times are tough, and like I've been struggling a little bit, like making ends meet. So I decided to.
You're scamming a raider.
What? Wait, Raider? I got raided?
Yeah, 95 people are waiting for you.
Whoa! What? When did I get raided?
Like I've been trying to say this. Everyone's just like mugbug.
Well, you were talking about arc raiders, so I thought they were.
I was
talking
like,
about,
hey,
I
look.
thought you were talking about your raids with like your fucking.
No, like
IRL
you.
friends. Oh, I'm so stupid. There was no sound. Nothing played. My sounds are fucked.
Who raided you again?
Hi, Mug. Thank you for the raid. Hope you had a good stream.
I was like, Kura, you should probably take care of that. Say hi or whatever.
Thank you for the raid.
Everyone that came in the raid, start spamming scam in caps.
No,
Scam,
no.
scam raid,
For what?
sponsor eagle.
I cry. I fucking cry.
Also, hi Mog.
But hello.
Nice to see you as well.
Revenge raid. Is that what this is? Is it a revenge raid?
Revenge.
You should totally like.
Bro, I was in your chat the other day, yesterday, and I was hella tired. I'm like, I want to play some Deadlock, so I went live, and then like,
Oh, my
and then I
back,
got
bro.
tired, and then I what happened? Okay. I was watching your stream. I'm like, I'm gonna play some Deadlock, so I went live, and I got tired.
It's like those boxes.
Dude, I have permission from Goots. I have permission.
You can't
I
use that
fucking have
against me.
permission.
I do not
have
consent to
permission.
this. I do not
Not yet,
consent.
you don't, you little
You
bitch.
cannot push
Not
me.
yet. Wait till I get my fucking hands on you.
It's
I
just
swear
a
to God.
bad thing to say if someone says they don't have consent. You're like, not yet. Wait until I get my hands.
Spaghetti
Grown-ass
straight
man,
until
by the
it's
way.
wet.
Depends on the spaghetti. There's like wet spaghetti already.
I'm
Dry
gonna be
pasta,
hitting on
wet
in a moment,
pasta.
though.
You're so weird.
Why are you looking? Oh! Oh God.
You good?
We're good. Yeah. No, we're not good.
Ah, you good? I don't
My
know.
My hips.
Good, Dad.
What
You
is
got
that
God damn it,
fucking
Domino.
emote? Ugh.
Domino already broke the world. He's an expert of breaking worlds.
Look, do you see that fucking emote?
Which one?
It's gross.
The raccoon cat one?
No, what?
Well,
I don't
what
see a
emote?
raccoon cat one. What? No,
Emote
like
is gross.
the big fuck off pregnant mug bug.
That's cute.
Wait,
What do you
where?
mean?
Where? Wait,
He's
what?
pregnant.
Where
That's
is he
cute.
pregnant? I don't see any. The fuck?
What? You don't see the big fucking
The
pregnant mug
mugnant?
bug?
No, it's just mugnant for me.
You
I don't think I have that.
probably on. It's probably
That?
on your
Wait,
end,
wait,
but
wait,
not
wait.
on his end.
Oh, so
Wait,
I
no,
guess
no,
that's a
it's
feature
probably
they
on
didn't
my
do
end.
with
It's just like
share
on
chat.
top. Wait. Oh shit!
Yeah.
I
No,
thought
no,
you were
it's
hugging someone. I thought you
No,
were
that's-
hugging
he's
someone.
fucking pregnant.
No, he's just pregnant.
Yeah, why are
silly though,
you
adorable.
why are you pregnant shaming them? They're gonna be a problem mom soon.
Why are we judging an expecting mother?
Mugnant.
You mean dad?
You don't like
Expecting
being
dad.
pregnant?
Listen, I'm friends with Mug. He's the
Yeah.
mother.
I am not becoming Snownagan or whatever you want to call it. I'm sorry. Apologize. It's not gonna happen.
Why
So
are
you
you
me
not
having-
pregnant?
No, I can't
No.
be. Try, but I doubt.
Imagine preg
Yes.
shaming in 2026.
I
Yeah.
know.
How dare you? How dare
Also,
you?
I stole the idea from you,
I'm not
Mug. I
staring
put
at you,
war in
I
my
swear.
tags to see if the
You should
magic
put pregnant on your
works.
tags.
I will be staring somewhere else.
I'm not putting impreg in my tags.
You
Wait, I
need to
can put impreg in my tags.
You need to put feet, vor, beans,
don't change avatars.
pregnant,
No,
inflation.
no, not
I
here.
don't know how many you can have. Influencer,
do,
do
like-
not use
can I
that
do,
word ever
like-
again.
I need to do like squeaky, like latex, you know.
Nope.
Latex,
That's actually like the
alright.
most accurate.
There you go. We're gonna do this.
Bro, I
Really?
swear to
What?
I was joking. I'm
You know
about to
that
leave.
threat I DM'd you?
What do you like? What do you want more? White or black?
I'm about to freaking leave, you goof.
I like the black because it contrasts more and you can see like the water.
Anyways, give me a moment. I am talking with my mom.
You don't like white? Got it. I've seen a cat. There's a
Bro,
king
why are you
tag.
like
I think you do. What? I'm not a bad
Why are
person,
you
I
like
swear.
this?
Oh, you turned it off. No, turn it on. You're not allowed to have it off. What?
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Whoa!
whoa. What?
You can pick colors.
It
Oh, your
says-
camera has a little
Typing
headphone.
Yifluencer. Do not type Yifluencer.
I
in my
love the.
fucking chat.
If you do porn, are you a Yifluencer?
How do you have that? Oh.
Don't. Who actually uses
What's the
hashtags?
toggle?
Like they just kill all engagement. Don't use hashtags, chat. It's
Hashtag
2023.
That's your
If you're
thing.
gonna,
That's your thing.
if you're gonna tweet,
Okay.
don't tag your shit. Don't even fucking bother. I
Hashtag
promise.
67, am I
You're
right?
just playing with my mind. Oh my god, they're ERPing on stream. Careful.
Do you want me to show you a really cool thing I can do with my heart rate?
What?
Do you want
You've
to
already
see
shown
it?
me.
Oh, the 6-7 thing. Okay, never mind. I forgot. You were on my stream.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, never mind. Never mind.
Right.
False alarm.
I'm gonna go head out.
Is
You guys have fun.
Manny your?
Okay. Yeah, the minigame is his boyfriend, like 24/7.
But yeah.
It's just their
I'll
boyfriend.
see you guys. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys again sometimes. Enjoy
Yeah.
yourselves.
Enjoy your
Bye.
night, day,
Bye.
evening, whatever.
Yeah, night. Thank you. I'll
Kane
see
and
you
I
around as
used
well.
to
Seven.
be.
Adorable.
A couple years ago, we used to be very close to the point of where maybe you could consider us that, but we haven't been that for a long time.
Oh no, I don't like you two together now. What's gonna happen?
What? What'd you say?
This is a
Wow.
freaking Pornhub session at this point.
Meow 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 meow. Stop putting your ass on my camera, you degen. What the fuck?
can't fucking control it. It just.
You can't
does
control
that,
it.
bro.
You should control it. What do
My
you
ass
mean?
is
You
just
can't control your
fucking-
ass.
No, it's got a mind of its
Yeah. You shit yourself
Alright.
one time too.
own. No, I'm not incontinent.
So you don't have control over your ass.
I have control over my ass. Just not my VR ass. Why are you looking at me like that?
What the fuck? Is that supposed to?
Why are you flirting with me? Is that what's happening?
I don't. By talking about how you can't
Yo?
like not shit
No, not
yourself.
you,
I don't
them.
think that's. Oh, probably. Oh.
Your last streams would beg to differ. What do you mean? What?
What have you been doing on your
Oh,
streams?
so I'm on medicine that like, huh? What?
What have you been doing in your streams? Oh, you're shitting yourself
My
because of the
streams?
thing.
No, no, no.
I get it,
I've
I get
never
it.
shit myself because of the meds. No,
Why not?
I have to go to the bathroom, and when I have to go, I go, and I have to like sit on the fucking. I have to sit in there for like 10 to 15 minutes until I'm like good.
You should do it like me
It
and just take
sucks.
your microphone to the bathroom. Get a wireless
I'm
microphone.
gonna hard pass on that, homie G.
Yeah, right.
No, they're agreeing to my hard pass.
No, they're agreeing. No, they're agreeing to be. Yeah, yeah.
No, they were
Hell
agreeing
yeah.
with my hard pass.
No, you put your foot inside the camera. That's not working.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. Unpit it. There,
Funny,
I'm
funny.
putting
Your
it.
shoe is inside your feet.
So now you have no excuse.
I know.
Goots already agreed. I'll even edit it for you. I'll like make it.
What do you
I'll, like,
mean
each
edited?
scene and like I'll edit it so like it'll be like properly.
You're gonna make a
like, it'll have
professional
proper,
thing.
like, scenes and-
You have a
Yes.
pizza. You walk in my apartment like,
No,
Oh,
no,
I
it'll be
ordered
acted.
pizza, but I
it'll
don't
just
have
be,
any
it'll be the
money.
highlights. It'll be like a highlight reel.
no. If you're gonna do it, we're
Listen.
gonna do like we need to have a script. I wanted like
Listen,
the first part
listen.
of lore.
What'd you say?
Okay.
Listen, either I need to like be there, or you need to record it. Either one of those.
Oh, but you need to have a
Yeah,
plot.
there you go.
You need to have a plot. You need to have like a whole intro thing.
Can I put it on my like my paid thing?
You're gonna arrive and be like, Who ordered, you know, who ordered this? Like, oh no, or like you can be a teacher or something.
So you'd do it if I had like bad porn acting.
Yes, that would be funny.
Oh my god.
Okay.
There's
Yeah,
a
what's
shark
the-
in a pool.
Hey, April Fool's is coming out. April
There's
Fool's
no
is coming
shark
out.
here.
We could do like a fucking.
Can we do the shark one?
it could-
The shark one in the bed. That's so
This
good.
is
Yeah,
the
actually,
beach
I don't
of
see
the
any
rest.
shark.
And I'll be in my latex
What
shark
are you
avatar.
talking about?
Are you actually discussing this? But for real, for real?
Yeah.
Listen, if I did, it will be a shark. The shark one. I love the shark one. It's so
I
stupid.
have a latex shark, right?
Listen,
Me?
I can be in
I
a
have
cup
shark
chair
with one,
then.
no thanks.
No, I have a latex shark.
No, but you can't be the shark. We need to be acting like there's a shark.
No, I can literally
By the way, I'm
be the
joking.
shark. The shark attack.
By the way, I would like to do the intro and then nothing else. That would be cool.
I
And
cry.
I can give you my avatar and then you guys can continue because yeah, it's cringe. I'm sorry, I
Okay.
can't do that anymore. It's
Alright.
like it's weird.
I cry. I mean, that's
You gotta
fine.
be planning stream.
Can I bore you?
People would pay for that.
What are you?
That's the point. It's for money. The guys got to eat, dude. I just bought groceries on credit. All right, I spent money off my credit card.
I'm
'cause I
not. I'm
couldn't
not
afford
that
it.
desperate. I don't.
Yeah, because you have a normal job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you.
What the
I'm broke.
fuck?
I'm a broke bitch. Listen, man, I'm out here hustling. I make assets. I do comms. I have fucking Twitter shit.
Have you tried
I
getting
do
a normal
stream,
job?
Like, no, for real though, it's it's.
That's
no,
amazing.
actually,
$20
yeah.
is $20.
I know it's really hard. It's fucked up.
No, it's not that. It's the vehicle issue. Like, once I get the vehicle issue sorted, there's so many reasons why not. But what's
True, a
one
lot
other
of
key
jobs like
marker-
if you don't have a car, they will just like nah.
Yeah. Well, also the area I live in. But no, even like part-time work at like some gas station or some shit would help me so much. That's the plan. Because I could go from making ends meet to actually saving some money
Oh, this is the Forza team.
just with
What
a
the
little
fuck?
extra income.
Just auto
So-
playing. Sorry. This is the Forza team. The one that goes down, 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 down. Down. I got distracted by the Forza team. Sorry. His me is too high about cars.
I am holding
How
the
did you
muscle.
meet Minican?
You see,
I've
kids,
gone
when a
through this a few
girl
times, but,
Minican and
no,
Very much.
Ferality 2000. So the Ferality after the first one.
Whoa! God damn!
Don't tease me.
Don't smack me. Not on stream.
Am I commencing?
No. Didn't I meet Minigan and Ferality?
No.
No. What did I don't remember.
Ferality, you met him through me.
Oh yeah, I DM'd you because of something.
Oh, you were. It was
Yeah.
a Twitter. It was a tweet post. We were posting lock screens, and I posted a picture of crop porn of Kane and I.
Yeah, and I was like,
yo.
whoa! Yo, I was like,
And then we
whoa!
started chatting,
and
and
then
we hit it off. And then you and I hit it off, and we hung out a little bit. And then I met that other person through you that ended up going pretty badly over time.
Mhm.
And I don't know. And then we were friends. And then suddenly we did a team.
And they were both boys.
And now we have a team that we don't do anything with.
Yeah, we have a team that we didn't do shit since it started.
You know,
RG Beans
speaking of
Bros,
which, I
let's
actually
go.
So I shadow invited Mug to the team and then never said anything else. Like I forgot that I was gonna potentially invite him to the team, and it's just sad.
We can do
man.
things.
Like
I don't mind. we
I'd
can do
have to talk to
things.
Kane. We have to talk to Kane. We'd have to talk to Kane. It all has to
Fuck
go
him.
through Kane. It all has to. No, it's his
Fuck
team,
him.
bro. And
We'll
like
do the RB beans.
the RB beans.
RB beans. RB beans. RB beans.
The RB beans.
I'm joking. Kane's
Yeah.
amazing. I gotta like wake him
So-
up. I'll fly there. I'm
He's
literally
on
close now.
Rust. But so the you were already close. What?
Yeah, it takes like 2 hours or something from here.
Yeah.
Team is just
I don't know,
vibing.
man.
I like the
don't
team.
fucking-
I like the team because I don't know. It meant something kinda. It was kinda
Damn,
cool.
she got the moves. Look at them hips. God damn. I'll see you.
If
in
I
my
did that
office
right
later.
now, I would break my back. Like right now, it's so bad.
Do it.
MRGB, no, like my back is really bad. Sorry, I'm old.
No.
I'm breaking
yeah, I feel bad,
apart.
to be honest. Like,
I think I did like a chest exercise that was wrong, and like it was a little bit bad.
no,
It'll recover. Thanks, Shredder.
oh, I muted myself. I keep muting myself. So for me, the priority right now is I want to actually start doing proper content, because right now, my only like source of I guess discoverability is Twitch,
Oh, that
and I need to
sucks.
fix that.
You don't want to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And that's the major issue right now. So I need to, and the thing is I know I can do it. I'm just lazy. Like, I say lazy.
Same.
It's more like ADD.
I know
Like,
I
get
can
a
do it,
billion
but
ideas,
instead I
and
did
then,
60
like,
lefty loses.
Yeah, you just fucking, well, it's like you get ideas and then like you just don't do anything with them, and like, ugh.
Yeah, I know.
So I think the big thing I have planned right now, I don't want to just, okay, I respect the sort of content you
Sure
want
those-
to do, but I feel like it's oversaturated. And so if I do something I want to do a little bit different, I want to do content that's actually has like a
Touch.
Wow.
Whatever. I was
structure,
listening.
right?
Whoa.
Yeah, it's
Like-
just like
Oh.
you spend so much time doing that, and then
can
like
pose.
you do
Well,
a
my
video
current-
where you like fucking wiggle your ass on camera for 2 seconds, and it does like better. So it's like super demotivating.
No, I'm just gonna do what I actually want to do. So I've actually never played Bloodborne.
If you double
Oh really?
comes off.
And you can play it on PC now.
Just kidding.
Like, you have to take the files from your
I'm just kidding, I'm just
console and
kidding,
like
I'm
do
just
some finagly stuff. But so I've got it set up mostly. I need to do some tweaking because it runs like shit right now. So I need it to run a little better.
Keep forgetting
but-
this avatar is actually female.
My current plan is I'm gonna stream Bloodborne, like the whole thing, and I'm gonna edit it up
on
until like literally I've played
Bloodborne.
all these other Souls-likes and these other FromSoft games, but I've never played Bloodborne.
Undress to find it.
And
It
so
really
the
is
plan
cute
is
when
to
he's
like
lighting
take
up.
that.
Well, let's see.
I zoned out. I don't know what you said for the last 10 minutes. I was just staring at you.
Dude. I swear to God.
I zoned out, like just staring for the last 10 minutes. I have no idea what you said.
Oh. Where this is?
Oh, I promise. It's usually is very normal. You saw. It's usually very normal. I think I murdered them. He dead. Careful, don't touch him. Yeah, I warn you. Don't put your crotch in their face. God damn.
That's for later. I'm sorry, I got ahead
Yeah, I
of
don't
myself.
do it now. Go. I'm gonna do an horizontal offset. Give me it. There we go. Hagawagama. Oh, 7 Kura. I'm sorry.
And like the air
I'm sorry.
scratches.
I apologize. I apologize.
Yeah, good girl.
I'm gonna be honest. that
Excuse
offer was
me,
like,
what is happening over here?
Chad, that offer was like 50% for real.
You can't do this
What?
again. You can't just steal all the women. Like, what the fuck?
What? You like air scratches.
You know what? Whatever.
What?
Whatever.
Whoa.
I'll talk about.
You're loading
my
for
God.
me.
It's
VR?
them.
You have to work. What are you doing? Oh my God! Put some
Man.
clothes on.
He
Is this
doesn't
how you-
listen to me like ever. I
I
cry.
know, right? Yeah.
I listen
Come
to you
here.
literally
Come here.
every fucking day. Okay.
You asked me like
Sure.
5 times.
Wait,
I'm
no,
working
no,
in the
no.
afternoon.
I'm gonna
No.
fucking maul you.
No, come here.
Get your moldy beans out of my face, you freakazoid.
Here, there you go.
He's cucking me
I'm so-
live on Twitch.
How dare you? How dare you? This is what you do with little T. And tell me you're into that now.
Yeah, I work in the afternoon.
What
It's
time
like
is that?
5 hours from now.
Holy fuck. Yeah, I'll be asleep by then, practically. God.
Oh, that's a really cool, pretty outfit. It's like the same as yours, kinda. You guys are matching. Look at that chat.
Oh, they're pretty.
You're pretty gay. Ha.
I keep forgetting. I'm basically too tall for this map.
Yeah, they can see above your chest. Like,
Okay,
just cut
I
out.
see the appeal. Can I
Yes,
borrow your mute?
This is the viewpoint.
No, you gotta get your own. I'm sorry.
I'm not-
No, I worked very
I'm
hard
not
for
being
this one.
mischievous. Okay, I'm not being horny. Like actually, like can I borrow
Right.
them? Like
No, this is my stream mental support.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, like just have them
gotta get
here
your
and
own.
like have them
No.
look cute. Come in frame, come in frame, come frame right now. Frame come.
Why are you using
girl,
my friends
come
for
frame.
content, Kura?
How can I?
No.
I'm a bit too
Well,
big.
you're standing there all cute. You may as well be there so people can see you.
How dare you? Shame. Yes.
What?
Oh fuck! I did.
Whoa,
I did. I
excuse
did.
you?
So I teleported. I teleport. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Where am I?
You're
Ah.
inside of me. What the fuck?
Sorry. I fucking the stupid question again.
I feel like
Oh, I
rats.
was able to see me on the roof. Can you peek your head through the roof? You can see Domino probably.
Frame come. What mug?
Hi.
What?
No, sorry.
What do you think of my new nose detail?
They look good. It's hard to tell in this world though, like properly.
Oh, you need to like.
I just see
Start
crotch whenever I look
growing.
at you. You need to like sit down. I'm
Dude,
sorry.
it's so disorienting having the audio come
Oh
from
my
the
God.
camera. I gotta get
Turn it
used
off.
to
Nobody cares about camera
You said
audio.
it, not me. You literally wrote it. Okay, I was just reading what you wrote, mug. You
Did you see
freaky
Domino?
deaky.
Wow. Yeah, he's like on the mountain part up there.
Domino is Domino loves. If you ever build the VRChat world, get Domino to test it. It will break it immediately. It's really good at that.
Okay.
Why is Kaikyo messaging me? What the fuck? Thanks for the gift, Subby Sashi. I don't know why I went
Oh
fucking
yeah, look, I put face icon on his thing.
freaky there. Like laggy.
So it actually works. It's really good. I'll teach you how to do it.
Oh, thank you for the raid, Alfie.
I try you
One
to
of
do
those
it
guys
for
going to
me.
lose another guest host to a friend
Hope
that
you had a
I've already
good
seen
stream.
again. I know, right?
VRChat, you said you were doing
How dare.
you were,
I don't like stealing
VRChat
other
said you
people
were
I like.
watching a movie.
It's sad. I have no friends anymore.
What?
Yeah, I always
Come
steal my
over here.
friends.
You're out
No,
of
I'm gonna stay here in the
frame.
cool
Fucking-
corner. You're a
You
nasty
literally
non-bacon
Wait,
liker.
you
Go
asked me
away.
to stream with you. You asked me to fucking stream with you.
Now we're gonna like be away, so we're like breaches TOS while sharing.
What?
Yeah, if you share chats and then you don't stream together, it's against TOS. Because technically we get a bunch of people in and boost the viewership.
I don't know
Alright,
if
have a
it
good
actually counts as
night.
booster viewership though.
It does. It stacks. It pushes you up the list and all the things.
Oh, okay.
I'm too big.
It's really
man.
good. If you ever collab, always do this.
So sad.
Okay. Maybe Kane and I should start
What?
streaming together then sometimes.
I'm too big to like.
Anyone
sit
you
and
stream
sit
together,
over
just
here.
send this invite. Even if they don't know online, it will push notifications to their viewers that they're on your stream.
Oh, okay.
It's a really and then it auto tags it.
Yes.
It's really good.
Work it.
I'm sure.
What are
I'm sure you
guys
weren't going saying.
Not like that. I was just supporting Work it. Like keep dancing.
We'll see.
Can I
about that.
watch? It's, I guess. At least I'll just reverse the
What?
thing. Do a double ERP. I'll be with him. You guys will be at the other corner,
What? Why are we erping? What?
like
Huh?
a double gay thing. You
I
know?
told her. I told her to like
Double
keep
gay.
dancing because it was.
Oh,
good.
we're
I was
stacking the
like,
gay.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're stacking them. Not the gay. Well,
Yeah,
whatever.
okay.
Whatever, chat. I'm tired. It's
How you
whatever.
doing? I'm EP. My head kind of hurt. I'm not used to this.
You can leave if you want to. I'm not
I
forcing
kind
you.
of. I got no, I'm staying. What do you mean?
No, you can. No, I mean like you can do something else. Then like, it's fine.
Oh yeah,
It's
you want to
fine.
do something else
Yeah,
with me today?
fine. Whatever. Fine, you can go.
Yeah, you want to go? You want to go? I'll start with me. Oh, my hips.
Swear to God. Ugh.
My hip. Work.
Oh my gosh!
I don't
Did you
know.
just break your
Is he
back?
dying?
His hip is very,
That
very,
literally
very,
snapped
very.
back.
Oh my God, Voltacello.
Holy
Hobby.
shit!
Whale
I kill you. I kill you. I don't know. It's fixed now, right?
Voltage, how's the weather up there? Like it's been kind of shit here. There's a shit ton of
You
snow.
keep moving and my camera keeps going fucky and
Oh,
I'm gonna fuck you up.
Fucks your frame, fucks your frame,
Whoa!
fucks your framing, fucks your framing.
Man, you're a bitch. God.
Snowy, the lockdown there. Yeah. Let me check my door actually.
Whoa.
You might need to take a
Ew.
break to like shovel a bit too, honestly, sometimes.
Good. Okay. Let me explain
No,
to you.
not like now. I know.
No,
what you-
my driveway is shared, and it's like from my place, it goes across like 5 houses and turns to the left and goes up a hill. Like I cannot shovel it. It will take me the whole night.
I know.
It doesn't work,
I
I mean,
literally.
it's a shared
Chicken
neighborhood,
pose.
and
What do you
people are
mean?
driving. They
Oh,
should
my
be
hip
good.
is
I don't think
What?
they will. I'll check. I'll tell you.
Why is it not?
No,
Oh,
literally,
I turned
like literally
too
living
much.
in like a neighborhood and living near that, like my grandparents too. It's like
It's not. You
Usually
don't
if
get.
it's
It's
shared-
different.
Hold on. Let me fix
It's a. It doesn't have a road. Like the thing is massive, and if people don't go away now, like at midnight, no one's gonna think. It's gonna be in the morning. There's like a tractor that cleans the whole thing.
I mean.
Hi, Skull. Hi, Neo, later.
You're a tractor.
The snow.
You're a
pole thingy.
tractor.
Those people who like
You're so
throw away the snow.
mean.
my tractor.
No, it's a good
Usually
thing. You're
they
a tractor.
arrive when
So
it's
far
like actually
drifted now.
severe snow.
Okay.
They
Mhm.
keep
Usually
losing
here,
track
though.
and then
What?
oh, my trackers.
I
keep
said like
losing
usually
track and-
those
and, like,
people who show away the snow on the road and like neighborhood stuff.
I'll
they
check
become like
after. We'll check after.
Yeah, but I'm saying that usually when it's
getting-
severe
what's the
snow,
word? They're fixing themselves,
they
but they're
usually
like
do it
now they're like
to
out here
avoid like since people
then they're
work
out- like, they
during
keep-
like mornings.
offsetting themselves.
Yeah,
So I have to
usually
like
before
adjust
people
the
work.
in-game thing.
I'll see because last time I almost got stuck like up the driveway. It's like really
Fix
steep, and then my car gets stuck there. I will check.
I know, but I'm just saying
Oh.
usually they do it before.
You can also,
people
if I
work.
get stuck, I can play all night.
Your bot just keeps getting shreked. Like, look at him. He
You know
just
you
keeps
hate
getting
me
shreked.
already, okay? You don't need to just rub it in my face.
Oh, I literally told you I was gonna suck your dick, and you think I hate you.
Okay, whatever. I was not expecting that.
What can I say?
Hi,
men,
I'm
am I
back
right?
to here.
Men. Yeah, men.
What the
Thank
fuck
you.
you mean, man?
You know, I've heard they don't wipe their peepees. I heard they don't. Yeah.
Do you wipe or
pee-pee?
shake?
What?
Do you wipe your dick or you
Men
shake it? Do you wipe your dick or you shake it?
It depends on how much
See?
of a hurry I'm in.
Told you. Told you.
Yeah, but
Usually-
you
usually
expect
wipe.
us to suck that thing?
No, dude. If you're okay, if someone's giving me head, that shit is like coming out of the shower. Like I will say pause. I'm going to take a shower, right? Like, no, I'm weird about hygiene. Like when it comes to that kind of stuff, man.
But I'm not
No.
wrong though, like actually.
Yeah, I guess. But
Hi, I'm gonna be here. Hello. How you been, chat? How you been, Voltage? How you been, Metal? You been good? We don't talk about dick sucking on this corner.
So fluffy.
It's a good corner. I see you play spacing to me. Go away. What are you doing?
No, just stick my tongue
Stop
out.
touching my touching my ass.
I'm manhandling your tail.
What do you mean manhandling my tail? It's too big to be manhandled.
Yeah.
Dude, this audio
Yeah.
is
Rapper
fucking
version,
with
I
me
wanna
so
get.
much.
Just turn it off. Your corner is really good, Damin, okay?
Type thing.
You're nervous for an FC? Why?
Yeah,
Should be fine.
and my older son used to be like a raptor, like a butt mix. So when like put them.
Cons are really. I never
like
went
the
to
full
European
texture on
con,
it
but
when I
I
get
went
it.
to Entercon. They're really good. As long as you stay with your people.
I think I hit one of these.
Have fun,
Origin.
be fine.
Wonder if mine's still. Let's hit one uploaded.
Mm.
I do.
Wait, that again?
Oh no.
Smells like tea in there.
I don't
The first con, it's gonna be a really good experience.
Bruh.
I wanna see
what you're
pictures.
implying.
I don't know what you're talking about. Var.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm not into vor.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
No, no touch me there.
We
This
expecting
is my no square.
Snowy collab on the spicy accounts. Unfortunately, I don't think that Snowy is interested in that.
I don't like those. Like I don't know. As maybe it's for the content, but like I don't like. It's weird. It's. I'm sorry. It's weird.
I heavily modified this one a little bit.
Not the content, like the making it.
Yeah, it looks.
So like nah.
Bro, I
I took away the tail.
I gotta eat.
Okay, I mean,
And I wanted to add like a long
Tails
one.
like.
Like real
No, I
talk,
just mean,
dude,
like,
my
I don't know,
medicine is
it's-
so fucking expensive.
I feel like it's like a non-turning back thing, so I'm just like, nah. I don't mind watching it.
Personally,
If I can find
my the meds I'm on
But
is like
this-
$1,200 for 6 months to play.
Whoa.
Yeah, but you're like a stinky American. Yeah, American
I'll
moment.
put it up.
Yeah, that's
but
how
like,
pretty.
But I fucking need this shit, dude. Like,
American
So it's
moment.
hard.
Yeah.
Big dragon tail.
yeah. And then I've got I think in April is when it's gonna be asking for more. So I don't know.
Oh, that's just on my
I gotta figure it out. I
get it though.
We'll
I
see.
get
Maybe
it.
I'll do
But
like
like,
maybe I'll do some kind of goal because
Yeah.
it is for my health.
Me.
do a little goal. I'm sure people will understand.
I'm gotten stuck. Hold on. I'm trying to find like.
Yeah, you want to loan me $1,200 tonight?
No.
I've been struggling.
Yeah.
If I had $1,200, I would buy a motorcycle. There are
Just, like, I did a
seven.
canine for like.
Yeah, fuck
Like,
Cora's
okay.
health. Let me buy
Nah,
another
man.
motorcycle.
I.
Fuck you.
Usually.
Another fucking bike.
It's
Like,
investing in my
like,
mental health. Okay.
There's a
I'll be
family-
depressed, but I'm
Yeah.
fast as fuck while being depressed.
My leg funky.
So just to buy
Oh,
soda and
God.
candy and stuff. Do you actually want to do that voltage? I'm down. I'll be down. The best way will be I'll probably drive to you and then we take one of your cars because mine is electric. It's gonna take a while.
It's like I also have.
It's
this
doable though,
one.
but it's just annoying.
There's another
I think if you made a goal for medical bills, you have it filled within a week. Maybe.
Ooh.
I also want the Steam frame when it comes out, so I have
Yo,
my
oh,
eye
fuck.
tracking.
Yeah, yours is electric too. God damn, I forgot about that. I think you have more range than me though.
Love the
Oh,
Oh,
you're
talk
right,
about
bikes,
voltage
he's
is
gone.
car.
It's
No,
the
cars.
old-
Cars,
the
look at the
oldest one, though.
cars.
Textures.
He's a car guy and he got a Tesla, so I'm like, what?
Oh, it looks nice.
I think.
We can schedule something. It needs to be on the weekend.
I think I.
We can use both. Stack them. Yeah, I drive to your place and then you drive. Then you can tow mine or something. Yeah, we'll bring KFC. It'll be fun. How long does it take? You don't
Yeah,
need to go
I don't have it
inside
on
Sweden that much.
It's alright.
Is it raining inside the room?
No, it's actually raining outside.
no. Yeah, it's just the camera. I might be outside slightly. No, it's not. Wait. Why is it showing up? Weird. Oh no, it's raining outside. It's just it looks like it's raining in the room because it's the window.
Chris
You're
cringe.
so cute. Oh my god.
6 hours. No, if it's at the border, it won't take 6 hours. It'll be like 2, 3,
Oh, I
and
think
then.
He's stealing your
4.
mute.
Huh?
Very cute.
God damn! Look at that butt.
Why are they all being? Why are they all being like massively like
Look
homosexual
at it.
back there?
Look at their butt. I am staring disrespectfully.
You guys disgust me. You guys disgust me.
Oh,
I thought that was really cute though. Don't you have this one too?
yeah, this one comes with it.
Isn't this?
This is
Isn't
one the big drag.
yeah, it looks
That's
so
the one
different,
I
like
had.
because of the texture. It looks so different.
Mine is really
Hi,
modified,
Ixon.
don't I?
Welcome.
Yes. Yeah, you see me. Are you
This one
complaining?
has a big butt.
It does.
She was saying, "I want to see you
You're out
later."
of frame though.
It's the same one. Yeah.
Wait, no, I know just the obscene gesture.
What the fuck?
I can't believe I just did that.
I'm gonna take
That
him
is
to the vet.
not. That is very offensive.
Is it?
Maybe I don't know. I don't think that's an
I
actual
don't think it's
gesture.
offensive.
I don't think that's an. Is that an actual like?
Yeah. It's not offensive. It's just stupid.
I love that
Oh.
Fortnite emote.
That's like saying this is like that's offensive.
I'm so glad I don't have the camera on you. My friends are at the corner. I can afford. I miss them. Oh man.
Pulling the camera away from us.
Whenever your friends go to a con and then you can't go, I feel so fucking bad. It's like fear of missing out. Like everyone's going to
You
NFC
should
now.
go
I'm
to
like,
my stream for the better
fuck.
POV because
Well, excuse me.
he's not pulling people into his camera, whereas with me you can see everyone, and I'm trying to keep everyone in frame. So clearly,
There you go.
I have
Another
the better
frame. You
framing.
happy? There you go.
Also, my audio is coming from my camera, so it's more immersive for the viewer.
There you go.
I also have the Vor POV on my channel.
This is so shiny.
Oh yeah,
There's a Charmander.
the Charmander we did.
Oh no. Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
kind
and
of
then
cool.
I gave you the different tail. I gave him a different tail as well.
A different toe.
And made
You're
the
into
butt
the
bigger.
feet
I
guy.
mean, wait, did I add physics to the butt, or does it come with? Oh god! Wait,
Whoa.
what tail? Oh,
It doesn't change size. Does it?
it's just weird. I think it's offset somehow. Also, there's some weird artifact of ambient occlusion.
I mean, the live stream.
needs
Okay, at least you
work.
can see a little bit. It's a really cool flower.
I have a fan.
Ah, got you.
Yeah.
Finally. I can die happy now.
Need to flip your camera? What do you mean I need to flip my camera? What?
I have like those veils.
Mhm.
Wow, you're hiding your vor.
Is the audio inverted?
You know, the women like it too
No, the
much.
camera's probably inverted.
I really want
You
to try
know
to
how,
go
like,
to
when you
NFC.
look into
Like
a mirror,
I'm like
everything's
trying
like
really
backwards?
hard. Cause oh yeah, Kurt, I don't know if I told. Maybe you were on my stream. So on July, I'm gonna go back to
No, because I'm
Portugal.
hearing him from my left ear.
Oh,
But he's
can't hear.
yeah, no, hold on. I can
What?
hear you. What? My camera is not. It was fine before. Like this is how it's supposed to be.
What do you mean fine before? What do you like?
Text is backwards. What? Who cares?
Oh, bueno.
Text what? Text
Confusing me.
is backwards.
You're confusing me. You're confusing
Come
me.
here. Come
I'm
here.
panicking. I'm panicking. I'm panicking.
No. Talk to me. What's up?
Without hotel,
What's up?
yeah, I just got an Airbnb.
I love hearing your sweet voice, Snowy.
Uh-huh. I
Uh-huh.
was saying, I kind of want to try to go to EF, because con, I haven't gone in ages, but in July I'm going to go to Portugal. I'm going to drive my bike from Portugal to Norway. I'm going to record the whole thing. It'll take me like
Yeah.
a week. But then it's like, I need 2 weeks
That
of
sounds
vacation.
like fun.
And then like, AF is right again, like
Aw.
after it. I don't know what to do. I'm entitled
He's
to like,
stealing your mute.
it's fine, whatever, I'm used to it. He hates me.
Well, the good news is T isn't gonna fuck them. So.
I don't think that's what I'm worried about, actually.
Really? What are you worried about then?
Nothing.
Not me. I might fuck them.
Alright, whatever. I'm going back here.
Dude, I'm 100% fucking with you. What do you mean, Okay, obviously I would need consent first.
Hmm?
Why
You
is
going to
she?
me?
Is that an unless? Whoa, they're into some kinky
Are you
shit,
into that type
bro.
of shit now? Oh my god, okay, that's something.
That's crazy.
Do you still have your
We're learning
version of this?
today. Hey, thank you, Master. Hi, welcome.
I do. Yeah, T. I don't
Oh,
really
KFC
believe on
cool,
the
try
first, so
EF.
I do.
You should, I mean, I guess. EF is
I do.
Correct.
I never
pretty easy to get to
looked
from
at my
where we
How
are.
would you even know that? How would you even know that I'm into that or not? Wait, Snowy, move the camera again. How would you even know? How would you even know? Fuck off with your moving camera, bitch. Fuck you. Stay in one fucking spot.
Ah, fine. There you go. I pinned my camera right there. You happy? Just for you.
Yeah.
Look
good
at that.
enough. Good
Look at
enough.
that. Whoa. It's still following me though.
I fucking cry.
Okay, great.
Oh, okay.
Okay, great.
He always does this, guys. He mostly does VR streams in a mirror. What do you mean in a mirror? What?
Yeah,
What
well,
in a
I want to
mirror?
do things, but Kuro's like, nah, I want to stand at a mirror and do things or whatever. He's Wobble here.
What? No, I enjoy talking to chat.
Shh. You're gonna ruin it.
Is that your Pookie? Are you waiting for your Pookie?
No, he makes my he he dresses me because without Wawa I'm naked.
Why don't you ever ask me to dress you?
Because usually you only want to undress me, and that's sad.
You
Wawa.
said you added a pee and it didn't work. Okay.
He's fucking with you.
I can make your
Probably
pee
put 'em in
work.
latex.
What do you mean you can make my
I
pee
would.
work?
I would 100% put them in latex.
You know, just because of that, I'm moving my camera again.
What?
Whatever, Wyrons.
What?
How you be? How you be?
The trackers really don't like it.
You're too tall, man.
Wait,
I'm
Huh?
the same way.
you're just small.
No,
Fine.
I'm not small. I'm like average. Average.
Average.
Average. Yeah.
What are we talking about?
That's fair. There's a creature behind you.
Kablam, you're now gay. Where's Kuru's chat?
Convenient censorship. They couldn't see anything I did there. Don't worry.
I'm helping! I'm helping, okay? Whoa, whoa, you gotta
Ah!
I can't.
come on, do it now, do it now!
Snowy!
Do it now!
Oh my god,
Come on, I'm censoring.
Alright,
aren't you?
I'm not gonna do it because as soon as I do it, you're gonna move it. I'm not.
No,
stupid.
I'm censoring!
No, you're not. Stop.
Yeah,
Get
I'll
the
even
flashing-
use-
the epilepsy warning out of my camera.
There you go, I'm gonna use this one. This one's cool.
Should I do it?
I'm not gonna stop.
It's all so pretty and colorful.
Chad, I'm so sorry.
You hate me so much. I'm
He has the
sad.
groan tube.
I do have the grown tube. Oh, does he have the grown tube?
Hand it over.
No, don't pull it out. Oh,
Maybe.
oh my god.
It was like, there you go. Raccoon, how you be, bro?
You're digging yourself a fucking hole.
I was digging yours, and yours, not mine. You
I have permission from Goods, mister.
can't just keep using you can't just keep using that against me. I'm sorry.
I can.
No, you cannot.
You just tried to shove a grown tube up my ass.
That's a sentence.
You're doing okay? You happy?
already happened at least once.
Glad to hear.
Know what I need? I need a little bit of love.
Pet the raccoon. 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 There you go.
Whoa.
What do you guys do?
Don't up his ass.
What? Huh? Oi, don't.
Want me to?
Wait, is that a Cupid
No way, I will
thing?
fill you with love. Yeah.
Whoa! God damn. I'm full of with Wawa's love. I'm sorry, Kara.
That's crazy.
Wait, you can use it?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we can talk about this.
Crazy.
Yeah? You trying to tell me something?
Oh, wait, that's cool. I can hold. Wait, I can hold it. Like, there you go. Hold it. No, hold it. I'll pull it.
See, I think they're flirting
you
with
go.
me.
Kara, hold up. Kara.
They're shooting you with. Oh.
You made it weird now. I'm Blackbird. Here, I'm way too EP. Hey, listen, you.
Pet the
you,
Snowy
you-
until he.
Come here.
Where are you guys getting this shit? Alright, chat. We're gonna see. Kara, come here. Come here. You guys can do that later. Come on. Come on. There, you happy? Kura, stop
you need to pick all of
ERPing.
them.
I'm not ERPing. I like
Oh, I gotta pick all
attention
of them?
just like anyone else, bitch. What?
Hold on, let me finish it. Hey.
You love me. Oh my
Hey,
god.
Kura, come here.
Come over
Come
here. here if you're gonna do it. Come closer to my fucking camera so they can hear you. I moved
Oh
over
my
here.
god, where's your
No,
fucking
I'll
camera?
move my fucking camera to you. Oh, hold on.
Where's your camera?
Right here. Right here. Hello.
Okay.
Hello. Okay, hold on.
Wait,
Okay.
Ready?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. They can't. Hold on. Wait. Turn this
It's
way.
an
a little
intimate
bit.
moment. Stop like it's not for content. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna ban someone because I'm clicking.
Yeah.
There we go.
Putting on my face right.
Ah, man, loves me not. What a shame.
There's still one more.
I hated it. I'm pretty sure this thing always says
No, sometimes it doesn't.
nah.
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's rigged. It's
You're
rigged.
rigged.
Rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged. Look. Yeah, it's rigged. But his father is broken.
He just ignored me.
No.
What?
I cry.
Laura Brookie. I'm sad. You can rig me. Oh god damn. Here we go. Oh.
Wow, Snowy really did train them.
Huh? What do you mean? With the thing?
Wait. Here, I got a better one. Wait, we just. No.
Why are we talking about rigging?
Stop switching avatars!
Bad
I
chat.
swear to fuck T.
Hi Oliver, how you be, man?
I'm gonna get you. Why are you so quiet?
My back is so bad. I'm dying. Help me.
Same.
Chat, if I lay down, can you give me a massage? I want a chat massage. Wait, hold on. Taking my clothes off.
Excuse you.
Whoa, that's gay.
If you do that, Kura's
Hold
gonna
on.
come and get you.
Hold on.
That's indecent exposure, sir.
Whoa, there we go. There you go, I'm
I
waiting.
have a question for you now
Yeah?
that you're in this position.
What?
Can I kickflip you?
Kick flick me? Yes, please.
Yippee.
Kura's looking at your ass, by the way.
How dare you?
Why'd you take your pants off right as I did this?
I wanna be kick flipped. Come on, someone.
Oh,
Let me kickflip.
Yeah. It's actually really comfy. I don't want to kick flip, I'm sorry. I just...
my skateboard broken.
Yeah, I'm a shitty skateboard.
You're just throwing your ass at everyone's faces, by the way.
I'm not complaining.
You're showing your back against me now.
Oh, this actually helps me stretch though. Oh. Listen, I need like a really good
You're like a
back
superhero
stretch.
now.
Oh.
I really like that skirt.
Oh. I'm gonna move back up.
Dude, look at this skirt. Oh my god.
I have lost the plot. Everyone is simping. Everyone is simping.
Pretty patterns. I like them.
I'm trying to keep my words wholesome.
Uh-huh. Pick away. Wait, what? I was just like stretching, okay? He actually, it legit helped me.
I just like, for some reason, I just like teasing.
Remind me to never invite you guys like ever again.
Better on the floor. You know.
Shame.
That's cool. I like
Hi,
that.
Panic. I have lost them. I have lost them. Good, I've lost them. Your fault. Wait. What? No, I want to talk to my chat in my corner, okay? Stop following with your cringy camera.
Why? He punched me in the face. But you guys didn't see it. This is what happens whenever chat's not watching. I get abused by Snowy.
I do that while they're watching.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah. Oh,
Why do you hate me, Snowy?
I hate you so much. Like, so much.
You know what?
What? What was that supposed to be?
I bit you.
Oh no, oh, my chest.
Yeah. I'll bite something else, bitch. Your
That
ear.
doesn't sound.
Get your head together.
That doesn't sound very nice, actually. Wow, I keep breaking my phone.
Good night.
Okay, bye forever. Never.
No, hi. You look like not tired, Earl. Are you okay? Are you okay?
Fine.
You
I
wanna do a
shouldn't
sleep?
sleep very much.
You wanna do a sleep
You can
stream?
ask T. I had like a little nap, but
You wanna do a sleep stream?
remember when I laid down, when I had a little nap while you were working?
Yeah, I get it.
For like a couple hours.
Hypnotizing him.
I'm into that.
Of course. Is that anything you're not into?
Yes.
Get in
lots
the air
of
voltage. Come save me, please. Come here, save me. Oh. Yeah, it's mega rigged.
What is that noise? Where is that?
It's mega
Why did you
rigged.
accept my flower, man?
It's mega
I knew
rigged.
you didn't love me. I knew you didn't love me. I'm sad. I'm going this
No, side. How do Domino teach me? How do I break it? How do I break it? Actually, I just realized I never explored this thing. Like, there's an outside here. And like, I assume like you like do this. Hold on. Okay, and then it's like right here. Ooh, hold on.
What is happening here?
No, bad.
Damian?
Yeah. He's correct.
Just a horny pal.
No one here is being horny. What do you mean?
Curious chat, can you confirm to me? Yeah, spam 1 for yes and 2 for no.
They can't even see your face.
There you go.
Whoa, ass.
You're still too high up. Play space down, stupid.
Oh, there you go.
Nope, your head's
That's a
still out of
shame. I
frame.
knew.
Well,
New
your
phone
camera's right
wallpaper,
there. Oh my god.
it's
Okay, there you go.
Your head is still out of frame. There you go. Now
Your head is out of frame.
What? That's
Yeah.
literally what I was saying.
No, your head is out
You
of
just
frame.
repeated what I said. Okay. What's on your wrist? Oh, your arm. What is that?
Is that too?
Is that the thingy that's on the What's it
Example card is
called?
Behind. I didn't see.
Are those the diagrams that are on the No. Okay.
What the fuck? I mean, oh, what the? How the fuck? Oh,
Circle.
teach me, show me. No, wow, okay.
Keyboard. Type the thingy. No. Icky.
No.
Dominus being
Correct.
evil.
You know they have a thing where it like transcribes your text to speech, right? Sorry, like your voice to speech.
Guilty lazy? Come on, it's not that late.
Talk
Only
and,
10:30.
you know,
You can do it.
Yeah. Excuse you. Uh-huh. You're in trouble. I'm having disrespectful thoughts at the moment.
When don't you have them?
Typing ASMR. But share comfy, you can be on the chair and in VR. You just sit. Do it like me, Volta. Just spend 99% of your time in VR sitting.
That's so mean. I'm nice. I'm nice. Right, sometimes. Like earlier, I offered to suck Snowy's dick.
That's not nice.
People would disagree.
That's not very nice.
I feel like
That's not
those-
very
there
nice
are
at
people
all.
Out there who would, I think would you be like?
Don't ask them.
That is rude.
Don't ask them if.
Would it? Did you think it's rude for me to say something like that to someone? Am I being mean to say that? No, yeah, that's pretty nice, right? That's like purely for them.
I have not responded.
Disrespectful for
Disrespect is the disrespect. How dare?
Who's the beige creature, by the way? Their name is Lucia Silver. I just met them through Snowy. I'm just borrowing them. Does Snowy own you? Why did you do the fingers?
The cover.
No words.
Have you guys seen the GroundTube covers on TikTok?
They're
They're so fucking dumb.
No.
Do I have to? You don't. But if you want to, I'll be here. I'll probably be here like a long time today. I have to record some things later. Because I've been slacking. Actually, let me see the state of that. Like, no. Up. There you go.
I need to like restart my SteamVR.
You get up. No, you come to VR to be lazy. What do you mean? Get a yoga ball. Buy a yoga ball, Voltage. Trust me. It'll be Kevin all over again. Nah, I'm used to that. Don't worry. Every time I meet someone, they get stolen, and 3 days later, they're all ERPing together. I bring people together in this way. It has happened so many times. You have no idea.
I have literally never fucked someone you've introduced me to.
There's always a time for the first.
I'd be okay with that.
Of course. Enter Expo is kind of boring like other cons I go. Enter Expo? What is that one?
In that case, do you want to introduce yourself to me, and then we do the dingy later?
Yo! I'm Snorri. Nice to meet you.
No way you would do that.
I think
Hello, Thingy. We can do the thingy later now because we introduced and touch hands, yeah.
I have your hand bacteria on my hand now.
Never wash it.
Okay.
Hi.
When can we war?
What'd you say?
I never met Snowy.
In a bit.
When can we war?
In a bit, we can move in a bit.
Then why
I'm
not?
so
Goods
excited
wants to take
show
me
you.
to a world that apparently has a lot of war, and I'm super scared, and I said no. Oh my god, it's a Vinci. How you be? Which is
I want to restart.
Vinci, why are you
So just
purple?
invite me.
I know.
Oh, I know. Right? I mean, you can just restart an invite.
Sure.
You're pink, not purple. I'm sorry. I'm stupid.
Oingy boingy later? No. I'm joking.
Why can't we oingy boingy?
Less. We can oingy boingy.
Why do you want to oingy
Do you
boingy
want
with
to
everyone?
I don't want to oingy boingy with everyone.
Debatable.
No,
I'm
really.
green. You're pink on mine, bro. What the hell?
I am selective.
You're selective oingy boingy. Okay.
I make like jokes, but there's very few people I would actually do shit with.
I believe you. Maybe.
Hmm.
Maybe. I'm extracting the gate from you.
There's better ways to do that.
I'm not answering. I'm not answering back. I don't fucking
Yeah, you got nothing for that
Where
one.
LJ? I miss LJ.
LJ hates us. He never comes in an interview anymore. No more ERP, like ever. Sad.
So that's another thing is you're saying like I want to oingy boingy everyone, but like I'm never on VR.
Here, come here. We're gonna take a picture together, and you gotta look sad, so I can send to LJ and be like, "Where LJ?"
Oh,
There
I
you
don't
go.
even know. Sure. Get this
Perfect.
gay shit out of my freaking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you homophobic now?
Yeah.
Excuse me. You know
Sorry,
I'm a gay
sorry, I'll
one.
leave.
Yeah, we can walk away. Imagine being sus. Couldn't be me, Vinci. I don't know what you're talking about. You're also not sus at all.
You're purple on my screen.
He's pink on mine. It doesn't fit.
Hey, it's purple.
Vinci's orange. Or green or whatever. I'm only wholesome, yeah.
That's annoyance.
You're such a sweet.
Can I keep them to you?
Excuse
Yeah.
me.
We'll get them.
No,
We'll get them a
no,
cute
no.
little like.
Listen, you gotta find your own
collar
mutes.
and
I'm
like
sorry.
deck them out with like Cult
You gotta find your own mutes. You gotta find. You can borrow it, but like after the stream.
Can I
it's-
make you like? Can I give you like a makeover where I make you edgy?
Oh, that'll
Like I
actually
make
be cool.
you punk rock.
Oh, don't tell me you have it. Ah, it's not that. It can be more. It can be
I
edgier.
wouldn't, that's more tech wear. I wouldn't. say
Yeah,
that's
that can be
edgy.
edgier.
No,
That's not
I'd give
really
you like.
edgy.
I'd give you like facial piercings and like spiked.
You gotta put
Water
the
and,
makeup,
like-
the smudged makeup.
Yeah. We'll give you the running mascara.
A bob.
Meow, meow.
I fucking. He knows this. That's why he puts it on all my avatars. I love it.
It looks cool. Can you make me
I
edgy?
fucking
that.
love it, dude. Yeah.
Of course, you want to edge everyone.
What the fuck?
He's edging.
I don't. Okay, so like, I actually talking about like mascara and whatever. I really like this eyeliner bit I have right here. I don't know why. Like a random artist put it on the art, and I was like, I'm taking that. I don't like that one. That's too much. But at least on mine, I don't know. I would like this one.
You
Never
think
got
this is
into
too
it.
much?
For me, like for me.
Oh.
I'm talking about
wow,
me,
you
not
don't
like
really-
I like it on you.
Do you like
Yes.
how it looks?
I like
Can I
how
make
it
your
looks. Just,
mascara
oh
run?
my god. Just I can make.
Oh, you didn't hear?
Wait.
Can I make your mascara
Do you like
run?
my eyeliner?
Yeah.
Eyeliner. Yes.
You know what I'm implying by that, right?
How would furries do eyeliner? Just like paint or whatever.
What activity would make your eyes water enough to make your mascara run down your face? Huh?
Well, for me,
Why
I
are you
make
being
it
so
more
dumb?
like.
You can
No,
do
take back
things.
Steve, you already said
Look,
yes.
Let me teach you something. Whenever you say something,
Yeah.
look over here.
Oh wait, yeah, I didn't even notice. Their heart rate didn't
I'll
go
get on
up, though.
15. Okay, I'll be waiting.
Oh, you turned it off?
Wow.
Did your heart rate go up?
How dare.
No.
No. Oh, you hate me.
What would Edge Snowy look like? Can you edge me too?
Yeah.
You're such a pretty being.
You need to edge me too. Make me edgy.
Are you
Like
gonna
the
pay me money?
avatar. I mean, I could if you actually make it like a thing.
I could.
Do you want me to as
What do you
well?
want?
Huh?
Do you want me to put like cuts out
do
of
whatever
your ears and stuff?
Do
like
whatever
if
you
I'm in a
want. Like I'll
fight?
give you full freedom.
You'd have been edgy.
Yeah, like if I lose
I
like
have
an
to-
ear or something, I have a bite.
No, it wouldn't be that edgy. It'd be like you have
Nah.
like a little piece missing. Like, give you piercings and like.
Do you want me to do an edgy tech dart one day?
You want to?
Yeah, I could. I do all his eggy textures.
Like, can you make me edgy? Pink, do you even play VR chat?
Lizard.
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 Oh, my back is icky again.
What are you looking at? Why's your heart rate spiking?
It's not spiking. That's like normal.
It was down to like high 70s a minute ago. Now it's up to 90. I wonder
I
what
think
it
it's
is
just
now.
normal heart rate.
That's normal when you're
Fuck
standing
you.
close between 70 and whatever the fuck that is.
Spiking is like going at 100.
What is that one?
What is everyone just took it out of my hand, you fucking mean
Oh,
bitch.
what the fuck were you doing? Okay.
Were you dancing?
Oh, why? No dancing?
Were you having a panic
You
attack?
having a panic attack or fucking?
Was it a panic attack or were you fucking? Okay, it's
You know what's
basically the
funny?
same.
You took time
I'm
doing your
sorry.
panic attack to
Those are rough.
like, oh, this shit's gonna be so funny. Take screenshot. Okay, go back.
No, they just no, they scrolled up. Look in the chat for reference. They have a screenshot of their. Oh, that's not my camera.
Thank you. You have showed to mine though. Save me some time.
Can you read that? You probably can't read that. Yeah, so it's a screenshot of the command prompt window that has like that's got all their heart rate stuff that links to their heart rate monitor on their avatar. And it like jumps up really high and then goes to 0 for a bit and then goes
Sure.
back up really high. So their heart skipped a beat.
I don't like what's
Chat,
happening in
Snowy
the
has
video.
presented them with something that says, please can I hit it raw? And their response is wood.
It's kind of wait, what the fuck? The print is like stuck for me. It's like halfway. No, go on my stream. It's like halfway stuck. What the
I
fuck?
believe you. I'm not pulling up your stream.
I got a call like, hey, my printer is broken. He got fucking. What the? I've never seen this. What the fuck? He got jammed. Can you print it again?
I'll jam you. I'll
Nothing
jam
good
you,
about jam.
mister.
Like with actual jam? Like,
I'll
like
show
jam
you.
Jam?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Sure, I have a perfect print for you, okay?
Nah.
Okay. I have a perfect print for you, okay? Not that one. Yeah, that one.
Oh God! No! No!
Read it!
Bro, don't show
It's so.
that screen!
It's fine. I showed this before so many times. No! Look, you ready for the alpha chat?
No!
Let's see.
I love that print. Every time I go to a meetup or one of the fucking.
I don't want to look at it. Stop! Fucking God! Eat that shit. Get that shit out of here. Ugh.
What does that one say?
What is that one?
Don't show chat that one. That one's actually bad.
No, you know you
God.
can't do that. That's a private one.
I have good words, but I don't have
This is for you. You can use this one.
anymore.
That's so fucked up, man. You can't do this. It's so cute in just in juxtaposition to like what it says. I'm having unwholesome thoughts.
Can you have you seen this? This one is really good.
I hate you. Yes, I've seen it. No.
You know what you
Thank
look
you.
like? You look like one of those commercial girls where I'm presenting a product and you're like,
Can I want to look at my prints, but I need to make sure that they're like
you gotta filter out the porn ones, you know? I got it. Okay, this one is, I think this one is my favorite. I want a this print, a that print.
There you go. Here's probably my favorite print.
Where's our favorite print?
This one right here.
Oh yeah, this one. Yeah. This is my favorite
Yeah.
print.
It's the same fucking Ew. What? Really?
I mean, really?
I don't get it.
What do you mean? Just read it.
Yeah, but I've seen that quote before, but I don't get the image.
It's a horse.
It's just a random funny
Yeah,
image.
it's a running. It's a front horse.
I don't think his brain works right.
I said, oh, okay, let me show you another one then. Where is it? This one is really good if you have anxiety, actually.
Why are they horses?
Because they're funny! Horse are funny!
Look, he's flying.
Nurgle is online, you should invite him.
Lizard.
That would
Or maybe-
unironically destroy those. Holy
Can you we're gonna
Wait,
play the Dora
what?
game. The Dora. Chat, can you recognize the things connected to Steam VR? What is this? Have you seen... How many of those you can recognize? 2 only? Lame. I really need another Dora. Another Dora Avatar. Dora. Have you guys seen the Horror the Explorer? It's so funny.
The wah 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 wah.
The Horror the Explorer.
My cat wants in my room.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've no-
Soy Horror.
You guys want to see? You guys want to see a very flattering picture of me? There, have that while I go let my cat in.
How the
Gibby.
fuck did you manage to do this? Don't tell me you don't know Horror the Explorer, come on. The index controllers, you got it, see? You get 5 points. Literally, okay, this is an actual accurate representation of a dog. This is how they look at you. Like, no brain cells, like... It's perfect. Ugh.
Why he looked like that?
Why? Who look like that?
You look like an actual dog. This is how my dog looks at me. Like no brain cells. I can put a picture of Koda side by side with you. You will look like him.
Colonel,
Colonel, I'm trying
trying to
to
sneak
You say I have
around,
no brain cells?
but I'm
Well,
stomach
hey,
thick,
do you though?
and the clap of my ass cheeks keeps
I
alerting
do.
the guards.
Chat. Where did you send it? Here. Chat. Don't I look pretty? Where the camera? Where is it?
Okay, ready?
don't
Kura,
I
Kura,
ready?
Kura, 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 Kura. Can I show print to your chat? Do you trust me?
I don't trust you.
Do you trust me?
Let me
Come
read
on,
it
please,
first.
please. No, you trust me.
no,
You
no,
trust
no,
me.
no, no. I
Please.
don't trust you.
Whoever-
Okay, can I have a live reaction to chat though? I'm gonna show it to you. Hold on. There's a sound alerts playing.
Did you feel the hole?
Wait, I can't hear shit.
Peace for yourself.
I can't hear too many sound alerts. There you go.
Go fill the void.
Look! Quick, before it takes it off!
No, 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 no. Bruh.
What was it?
I fucking love that one. Where did you put it?
It's
Where did you
gone.
put it?
Fuck you.
No, my
It's
print!
gone.
Is it this one? Yeah, look. The type of
If I
shit
get
you
banned
see.
because of you, I'm gonna be so angry.
I've done worse, you're fine.
Kane has been banned for less.
I've been not banned for more. The invert of that. I've shown a gay orgy on stream back during your lucky
Huh?
lose. It was just like 5 men just going at it.
Come here, then, beautiful. Come here. Come here. What? Oh, the big butt. Mama.
He had something near you.
Hi. Hi, sweetheart. Come here.
Blah 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 blah. What do you mean? What do you mean? You evil. You evil. Hi Spar. Hi BB. Hello. How you been? I'm like chilling. Today I got I pulled like a little muscle on my back during workout, so I'm like sitting. I'm sorry, okay? I'm slow.
Okay.
Mama, cat. Mama. You want me to be a cat? I'll be a cat for you. Okay, hold on. I'll be a cat for you. I'll give you that favor, right? That favor.
What is he on about?
No, fuck you. No, I'm just talking to you. I'm gonna be emo now.
Lizard.
There you go. Hello. You like my emo cat? You like my emo cat?
Lizard.
I'm missing my earrings. What the fuck? Where are they? There you go. Crescent channel.
Bald.
Yeah, I don't have hair. That's the last thing I want to do. I want to put the side hair, and then you're like, was too nice and now I'm gonna fall for you. Stop doing fucking noises, things, gestures.
Noises. Not.
Where are you? I'm so sorry. You already. No
Yeah.
voice inside my head. You already. I want to buy a guitar soon, man. I'm like fucking freaking out. I don't have mine in ages.
You heading out, Pink? Okay. Good night. I mean, have a good day at work.
Have a good stream, Kura. Have a good stream. Have a good stream. Yeah, have a good stream, Pink. Yeah, whatever. Have a good day at work and have a good night. Cat mode, yes. Have you done the yoga ball stretch? I did the yoga ball stretch actually. Maybe I'll do another one. It helped a little bit. Hagagaba.
Eyes. Fuck off.
Hagagaba? No Hagagaba? No. Hello, how is your day?
You forgot to change the tail.
Lizard.
I didn't upload this one yet. My tail is broken, yeah. I didn't
Oh my
I didn't
gosh.
fix this one yet. I'm lazy. I was working on
My
a
vision
video.
just fucking died. I don't know why.
How dare you? That's my battery. It's fine.
Are we gonna be Mayus together?
You wanna be Mayus together? You wanna touch Mayus?
You wanna touch Mayus?
I wanna touch Mayus with you, yeah.
Let me find my Maya.
Will almost stay a bit longer. If I do it, they'll say I'm sus. Your Maya's kinda cute. I remember your Maya being cute.
And I need to update.
This is a little different. This one's my
Oh, a
Kasha.
little different? Okay, let's see.
My Kasha Giddy. It's the Kasha Maya.
Okay. Fuck you, 7. Fuck you. Fuck you. Man, that's a big thing. Holy shit, it's taking a long time to...
It's
God damn, why are you so big?
It was just.
Oh, you're
It's
small
not
now.
big.
Can you, like, give me, like, a hair, because I'm bald.
Hold on, I can't hear anything.
You have to give me a hair advice. I don't find any good ones.
Why? Wait, if they cheer in your chat,
Does it work on yours?
my iBot responds to it.
Yeah, I didn't hear shit. What the fuck?
Yeah.
It didn't work on mine.
I don't know.
Cutie.
So wait, your chat triggers my... What is happening?
I don't fucking know.
Chat spam beats. Just fuck with him.
No. It cost me money to fucking do the tokens.
I'm choking you.
What do you mean?
Fix my ear.
Killing one. I just said
Evil. I'm evil. Oh my god, look, Chris, a 6-1 cat.
No. I am
Smash.
not.
You're smashing everything.
Whoa.
You degenerate. Lizard. Did you have any clothes on that?
Oh, look. I do. I just. It doesn't.
Put them on!
Like... Ah.
Wow.
What do you think of my
Give him my yo.
my costume? My
I can hear you from the song. The brave meme.
I close them all the time.
We're not doing this again, chat. I'm not gonna be able to hear anything in the next like 10 minutes. I will. I'm gonna be there for the next like 20 minutes.
shit if I put on pants.
Okay, it's gone. It's fine. The John Hamm meme is so like the best fucking meme ever. It's the best meme was like this year. Have you seen it? I can't hear you. I just said I cannot hear you. I can't hear you. Do you know how to do the meme dance? The John Hamm dance? You don't know? Come on, does no one know?
Can you hear me
Am I the
now?
only like
Stop
non-boomer
crying,
here?
Azriel.
Wow.
Yes. I can hear now.
Oh,
Quick.
finally.
Okay.
Okay. I can't speak if you tell me to.
Quick!
Okay.
You're holding a
I'm
thing.
trying. Stop saying quick.
You're
I'm
holding a
saying
print.
how to. Okay. Like I said, I know you're speaking, but I had a really good idea. So, I'm sorry. I'm your cheese now.
Okay, thank you. Can you get on with it?
I'm trying. You're pushing me. I can't speak if you're pushing me. Since you have like tiger prints, as I like mine. If I used to have one, I can make like
You were too late. I can't do it anymore. Thank you. Thank you.
I jumped off. You're happy?
Yes, very happy. Can I do it
I
too?
was gonna say on my son I can make like a leopard print so we can both be like different big cats.
Oh yeah. That'll work. Nah, go back to being a pussy. Not allowed to.
I am. What?
Not a pussy. That's not a pussy. It's like
looks
a.
so done and
weird- what?
scrumbly.
Go back to being Mayu.
What?
You need a Mayu. You need to become cat. You have Mayu? Yes. Cat gang. We're gonna become cat. Everyone's gonna be cat. Why are you?
I am a
putting
cat.
your
What do
hand
you
up?
mean? Look.
You're a big
I couldn't
cringe
do
cat.
anything because I need
Yeah,
to finish your
no, Maya.
mission, so I
Be a
can't
Maya.
make mine.
Maybe a Mayu.
Why Mayu?
Maybe a Mayu. It'd be a Mayu. It'd be a Mayu. It'd
Why
be a
is
Mayu.
it
Come on, 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 come
Why
on.
are you so? Why are you so close to me?
Why am I making you uncomfortable?
Not exactly.
Oh my god, you degenerate. Swear to God.
Hey, wait, Snowy. Come here.
What? What?
Grab the bottom of the shirt.
The bottom of the shirt. Who's a good boy? They're making a rave in my chat. Like I can't fucking hear anything.
Hey, my chat's good. We're fine. Can you put my shirt back down, please? Thank you. Thank you.
I left you think. Oh my god, it's a voltage. Smack. If I'm gonna see you IRL, we can't do anything weird. Cause then I'm gonna see you and like, nah, this is weird. I don't like this.
Oh, I'm the same way.
We gotta be normal. We gotta be normal. I'll be normal then.
I'm like so dark.
Now we should plan
Why are
something.
my cat screaming?
I think the Sweden sounds like nice.
No.
It's a very simple thing. It's very easy to do. It's fun and so on.
Yeah, cause from your place like a few hours. Shouldn't take that long.
Like 1 hour.
Yeah. So I drive 2, 3, 4. Should be fine. Bagagua.
At the same
Bagagua.
time, I imagine we have to charge the cars as well. For
Yeah,
me, with
I can
my
go-
car, it will take like.
I can go. I think I can reach. If I have a full charge on my house, I can probably reach you in one go. And then I have to charge before going back.
I need to fix the
Maybe. No, it's
Oh.
winter. No.
I see.
Yeah.
Never mind. If it's on summer, yeah.
What is the range on your car?
It's like 300 kilometers, but on winter it's like half of that. Like it loses 50%.
Yeah, it's same with the Tesla, but my Tesla has a range of 560.
Oh, you got the big
510.
boy.
That's good.
Yeah, I got the long range. That's the only reason I bothered buying a Tesla.
I cry.
If I ever upgrade, I think I'll do like a,
It's got overlapping stuff.
I don't know,
And
Ionic maybe or a Volvo.
Thank you for the
Yeah. I think like if you're going electric with Volvo, I would recommend something
The what now? It's like the small Lex something 40.
Hey, I don't actually know what avatar
The
is
Volvo,
on
the
this,
EV, there's like the 40. It's a small one, the small
Oh,
one.
the super cheap Volvo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've sat in one, I've driven one a little bit. I don't recommend them too much.
Oh really?
honest.
I like it how they look.
They're super simple. They went cheap on everything. They tried to do like what Tesla does, and it just
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
nah.
It should be easy to
It
like
didn't really work.
affordable
The
though.
build quality is better than Tesla, but
Look at the Mayu.
Yeah.
So cute.
I don't really need
You
any
should try,
like, cars.
like-
Maybe if I upgrade my,
Mayu.
because my car actually like, it's like just the high trim version of the gasoline one, but EV, so it's pretty good like in terms of materials and everything else. It's like really cool, but it doesn't have like any lane assist bullshit or cruise control, or like the active cruise control, and like I miss that.
nah.
Voltage doesn't recommend. Remove from list. Gone. Forever.
Mhm.
You're the professional. Voltage. It needs the voltage approval. Otherwise, illegal.
I almost got it as
Why are you
well.
meowing? Kid- Almost got what?
Have you seen the one
I don't know. I
video
think
of the car
unless
with
Range.
the meme
the thing is, I'm
where,
happy with mine unless it
someone's
actually
doing, like, a laser
breaks.
point
Like,
into a cat, and then the cat actually like grabs it and like yanks
The
person
Peugeot, of
over.
course, it's going to break.
so far it's
I
been
can't.
okay. 70,000 miles.
Here, we're gonna bother.
Nothing.
Snowy.
Good night.
They have an
Sure.
issue that's known, and it's the why are you pointing a laser pointing in my eye? That's not how cats work.
Do you get? You're getting.
That's just
laser
he's gonna
surgery?
blind me. He's gonna blind me. That's not how laser surgery works.
Thought it was how it
Excuse
worked.
me.
You're
Excuse me?
kissed.
You have that? Wow.
Excuse
I
me.
also have this one.
Did I get hit or did you get hit?
Both. Can you put it up? Can you put it like up again?
Collateral.
Okay, go. I need that victim that's standing. Come here. You see that little crowbar? Can you like full speed just run into it with your face? Just run into it. That's fine. Nothing will happen. Look at him. It's so nice.
I'll do it.
I'll do it.
Yippee.
You missed. You gotta jump.
Azrael. Okay. 1 sec.
One brain cell.
Lobotomy?
Free lobotomy?
Did you wash your ass
Hey,
today?
minimum. Thank you for the 52 months, bro. Nice meeting you
There's
again,
no
by the
way.
way, on the meetup. I need to get the crowbar. It looks really funny. Huh?
Just
I look
want you
like
to
a
know it's a supercharger not too far away from me.
Look what I named this the anti-horny crowbar.
Be fine then.
If someone shows horny, I bonk them.
I'll
with
probably
it.
just like whenever I go to somewhere like far away that I want to come back
That's all
from, I
the
usually
time.
just charge in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All the
Okay,
time.
when I'm driving down to Malmö, it's going to be interesting because I have to charge my
Happy.
Tesla 3 times.
Ooh.
We're like, yay.
This.
Should be fine. If you wanna have a cool thing, I use it like I drove my car from Portugal to Norway. Like within. Ow! I'm having conversation
That
here.
wasn't me. That was.
Uh
Am I
huh.
hitting you?
It wasn't the one that's holding the crowbar.
I'm hitting.
I used the better route planning. It's really good for bigger trips.
Am I hitting
Oh,
myself?
the
if you get
Tesla
the-
comes with
Oh
that
yeah,
built
yeah,
in.
whatever.
The
Yeah.
fuck?
Forget about it. Forget
I
about
have the
it.
Tesla
You
supercharger
get a
access
Tesla
is cheap and
supercharger,
fast.
free and cheap and whatever.
That- You want to know why I
love how
bought a
it sounds
Tesla?
There's shit tons of people.
Uh,
Ooh, what's happening?
for
Like cheaper?
price, it's a lot of car with the range, horsepower, all-wheel drive,
They're stealing
premium
my
sound
cookie.
system, and full self-driving and so on.
The fuck? You're stealing him.
Oh, now you're jealous, huh?
Well, yeah.
Keep going. Yo,
You
can I
touch
get
my
this
cookie,
side?
I touch your butt.
Can I get this side? We'll, like do a sandwich. There we go, pet him.
I'm gonna kill you.
Why do you touch her butt but you kill me? How is that fair? Yeah.
She's cuter.
Wow. Okay, whatever. I know you hate me.
I'm kidding. Stop.
No, I'm gonna be in the cat corner over here.
Can I go to the road now?
You gotta ask everyone if they wanna go do war with you, good.
4?
Wait, nice waist. Is there something wrong with my waist?
Good.
Okay, I'm gonna be in the cool corner. Look at that.
Looks fine. Right?
Maybe they're complimenting you.
Hell yeah.
I think there's. I think there's
Hell yeah. You guys don't have this shit.
I'm just saying.
I'll go to the world alone then.
Hips don't lie. I'm
I'm
confused.
going for War World alone.
Yeah.
There's a war. Wait, what?
We're doing drugs in our corner, okay?
Yeah.
Bye. I'm going
Want
to
some?
the world
You
alone.
know the hips don't lie, Mister.
Take it as a
What do you
no.
mean they lie? They don't lie.
It's
I'll
a
join you.
Shakira song.
What do that cat gets
Who's
like
Shakira?
crazy over catnip?
No, my cats go insane. They start rolling over it and like just fighting.
I probably know the song. I just don't remember.
Why?
Song that let it goes.
I'm not
It's a
cat
genetic
person, I'm a bird
thing.
person because I have a bird.
It affects some cats, not all of them. So I have a few of my cats that it doesn't do anything to them, and then we bought like a stronger, like more natural version, and it worked.
He's stupid.
Like a 50-50 chance it worked.
There.
I don't know why, but it did.
Cats
Did it go
being
crazy?
cats, I
It's
guess.
probably just the stinky smell.
I
Actually,
can't
we should
remember
Google
last
that. I wanna
time
see. I wanna
smelled
see why.
catnip.
Why are you looking at me as you pet him? You waiting for me to get jealous?
Like a ball. Let me see. Why? Why catnip Why
Sounded
not
like
3
the-
kilos
like
of
the
catnip?
Australian
No.
dog guy.
Why
Yeah. They came
do cats love catnip? Perfect. Because the plant contains a chemical compound called what the fuck? Neptalactone, which mimics feline pheromones and triggers a 10-15 minute non-addictive euphoric or calming reaction on their bronchoalveolar system. It affects 70 to 80% of cats, and no kittens under 6 months. Well, there's some binds to receptors in the nasal. Usually sending signals to the yeah. So it binds to their scent, like the sniffing signals, and it just makes them happy. Like they get like super happy. Man, they have a happy drug. What the fuck? I want catnip for humans.
We have that. It's called alcohol.
Exists. No wait.
It's called cocaine.
Cocaine,
weed.
alcohol, weed.
Drugs that
Cocaine's
literally give you more serotonin.
Cocaine's mid.
Tea. Bad. Wow.
Sagabagaba. Alright, I'm gonna join Goods. You wanna
hold
join me? You wanna join me, Mr. Collabing with me, but on the other corner, simping for other people?
You started. You're the one who started going to other corners.
Yeah, because I'm like being all pouty and shit.
You're being on what?
Pouty.
Yeah, you little bitch.
Whatever. You gonna come or not?
Where are we going?
We're gonna see Big Pete.
Big what?
Big Pete?
Big Pete?
Yeah, Big Pete.
What? Big Pete?
Yeah, we're gonna see Big Pete.
Can I show you guys a game world?
No.
Oh, I gotta go to this one first now.
Yeah, drop a
You don't
portal.
trust. You don't
I
trust.
can't,
my
there's an
opinion of
invite.
Worlds.
Oh, then invite me.
Alright, request off me. Wow, you too.
Oh, okay.
And you too if you wanna come. Wow, and you too if your battery is at. Ah. Nice timing. Good job. What the fuck? I have no idea what this is. Good. You scared the fuck out of me. Trusting T with roll selection is the worst thing you can do. He just looked. Oh my. I'm being sucked. Hold on. You know what I'm gonna do? Hello? Am I talking to
Okay,
anyone
I'm just
here?
listening. I was just listening.
Okay, I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? Like, gone. Do you know
What are you gonna
what
do?
I'm gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna even put myself in first person because I don't trust whatever comes from here. And I need
You
proof.
should. It's better. It's better.
I need
It is
proof.
better.
I think they were joining. Did you make the world?
It should be friends plus.
Oh my
You should
I am
invite them.
horrible at saying the world. Oh yeah.
I like this outfit, by the way.
Ugh, so many people. Hold on. Thanks, crew already invited, and T. There you go.
I like this outfit.
Sucking. Huh?
I like this outfit.
You know that I just have a POV of you now.
Hmm?
You wanna see Big Pete?
Oh, I was muted. Big feet?
Pete. P-E-T.
Who's Big Pete? Who's
Follow
Big
me.
Pete? Oh, it is this world.
It's Big
Oh,
Pete.
My God, that.
It's Big Pete.
Oh.
It's really good quality.
It's Big Pete. Look at it.
What the fuck?
If you put this to max,
My
it gets better.
God.
Okay, good. What the
Fine.
fuck is this?
They just appeared on my Twitter. Don't worry about it.
This is not what I was expecting.
No, the best part, if you put in a max, you get better quality.
Better quality? Oh god. Don't jump in.
Oh.
Wait, what if I do? What if I do this? What if I do this?
What the fuck?
And then, there you go.
Where's the max quality? The tessellation quality. Okay.
I think I swallowed them. No?
Oh,
That's fucking creepy. I don't like this at all. I'm gonna stay here.
What is
gonna
this?
stay
The
here.
orb.
The orb.
Orbeez.
Oh my god!
No spit.
Take this
Only
orb.
swallow. Lol.
Look.
This is so bad. I hate this. Give world name? No, Kira.
I'm
Wait, where-
freaking out.
Where did they go?
Ah, this is so creepy. Oh, oh no 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 no! Let me out! Let me out! Let me out! Let me out!
Is kind of hot.
Let me out! No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's
Oh,
not.
the maw is kind of hot.
No, I hate this. Oh, oh.
I don't want to get eaten
Hopefully I didn't
by
miss.
it.
No,
I
you
wanna
didn't
do
miss.
other things to
69.
it.
I have big
Remember
plans
I
for
did detail
69.
on the tongue like that, and you were like,
I have big plans for
don't look
69.
right.
Actually, I'm
I don't
trying
like
to get a big
the
plan. for
tongue
69.
detail is the one thing I don't like.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. Oh my god, it just formed. Oh god.
Goodbye, cool out.
I don't like that.
I'm trying to swallow him.
It sounds terrifying.
I don't like this. I don't like it.
It's so bad, right? Oh, I
Where
love
are
the
the
panic
others?
screams. They got digested. There you go.
Are they inside it?
Oh, that's so gross, bro.
What is?
Did you go all the way?
Post processing.
I got
No, I
swallowed.
didn't.
Oh god. Why do you have this? Kira appeared and is like, can I have this? Can I have this? Can I have this?
It's like a bouncy castle.
Not a- It's not a bouncy
Ah,
castle.
fuck.
dude.
There's a bouncy castle.
Oh my god.
What avatar is this even?
It's Big Peak.
Wolfman looks like.
Someone made this, you know, like when I joined these worlds, I'm like, someone like spent time on this, like hundreds of hours.
He's got no legs.
He's got no legs.
God, no legs.
Nah, it's kind of lame.
He's
World
legless.
Raid, unplayable, unplayable, unplayable.
Unplayable.
Nah,
I'm gonna
unplayable.
go.
You're gonna
Why?
go.
Okay, so there's
for
actually a
the-
reason for the vortex.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
I'll probably
show you
end because
this.
I also need to record
The
stuff.
friend there, Mug,
Just let me know if you can drive or not. I actually need to
was
know.
like, I
Yeah,
added
yeah, yeah.
Vor to my
Uh-huh.
tag as a joke, and it became my second most searched tag. So I'm like, maybe he's onto something. So I tried it.
Hey, how long are you gonna
That's
stream?
why.
Because
For what?
I'm probably gonna.
I'm ending soon. My
Okay.
eyes are hurting bad.
Do you wanna end now and do a double ride? Because I gotta like do some things
Yeah.
after.
Send me.
Okay, let's
Tell me
see.
their name and I'll type it.
Chat. Wake up. Okay, who are you rating? Who do you, I don't know who you like, man. I'm scared of writing someone who like drama.
Okay,
or
I'll
whatever.
find someone. Hold on.
Why don't I
I'll
GT?
find someone. No. He doesn't need our help.
Actually,
Sorry, I just realized this-
speaking
I
about
sounded
that,
so I sounded like I have major beef. I don't know him, but
speaking about that, we kind of all fell off, man. Like all the OG ones.
oh really? He fell off too.
We all did.
I don't know him. I don't really know him. We
Check
could
your-
raid Shivoxy.
Check
Do you know
your
who Shivoxy is?
check your DM. Chivoxy?
He made RL Craft. He's a furry.
You gotta send me.
You want me to send you? He's only
Send me.
got 12 viewers right now. It's
That's
crazy.
perfect. That's perfect. We double raid.
Yeah, he is a furry, but he uses a face cam, it's his real life cam. But he's a cool dude. He's playing Hytale.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Send me.
I almost accidentally just sent you my. Hold on.
You're what?
I'm gonna link you his thing so you can make sure if you wanna.
That's fine. I don't care. Yeah, I can read it. Okay. I trust you. I trust your process. My only like prerequisite is like, are
the
they
creator,
racist?
He's a dragon. No, he's not racist.
No? Okay, can I pick someone else
then?
then? That's racist. I'm joking. I started by the way. I committed the start. Yeah. Chat, thank you for joining. Love you. Sorry about the vor. I see you guys tomorrow.
Are you sorry? Hold on.
Oh,
we're gonna do the,
fuck, I didn't
Are
invite
you sorry?
anyone. Fuck, oh no, did I? No, I did. Never mind. Tomorrow we have You Laugh You Lose with Bardic. I forgot. I completely forgot. I'm gonna have amazing guests you're gonna hate. It's gonna be amazing. I have like this whole thing planned. Goodbye. I'll give you more vor eventually. Goodbye, Cruise Chat.
Should recreate this world, but with LJ model.
Yes, I would live here. This would be my home world if you did that. Love you, chat. See you tomorrow for You Laugh You Lose. If you wanna submit things you didn't time, go to the Discord.
Good night. Did you raid already?
Not even 4 hours. I have something to do on my back hurt. Okay, fuck you, Mr. Full-time like creator Raccoon Man. Whatever. Look at me. I don't have a job and back pain. Fuck you.
Oh my gosh.
Full-time peace, cat.
Tell me when we're
Love you,
ready.
chat.
When are
Thank
we
you so
ready?
much. I'm just waiting for the thing to go off. 3, 2,
okay.
1, and
Alright,
go.
what?
Agabwa.
I did it.
I gotta end stream
See
now.
what he said.